What's happening, weirdos? This is the return of the incredible, one-of-a-kind, brilliant, hilarious Chris Gethard. Find out everything Chris is up to, including his tour dates, at chrisgeth.com. You can also watch his most recent special, Half My Life, on comedydynamics.com. I have to say, I hadn't seen Chris in a while, and this conversation blew me away. It was so fun, so funny, so interesting. I'm so glad that you're here to check it out. He is just, like I said, he's one of a kind. You are going to love it. Just a word, not of warning, but if you don't like two grown men talking, Val cameo, if you're watching the video, if you don't like two grown men in their 40s talking about poop and poop strategies, maybe skip the first 5, but don't give up on this episode because it is thoughtful, it is interesting, it is inspiring, and it is hilarious. And let's get to it, as I always say, as quickly as possible. The best way to support this show, if you want, well, first of all, you could see me on the road. Go to PeteHolmes.com. I'm going to be in Milwaukee coming up, and then Madison, Wisconsin. Those shows are sold out, which is awesome. Thank you, everybody. There may still be tickets available for Milwaukee. That should be the name of my book of going on the road. There may still be tickets available in Milwaukee. But all the cities that I'm going to be in, we're adding new dates all of the time. I believe we just added Cleveland. They're all on PeteHolmes.com. I'm so proud of this hour. The shows have been great. Please come out and see me if I'm coming to a town near you. PeteHolmes.com. Also, you can try a Pete's Pick. These are products that I actually use and actually love, like our friends at Living Libations. I'm mindful about what I put in my body, but years ago I realized I wasn't being careful about what I put on my body, which of course ends up in your body. I was buying shaving cream and face washes that I thought were good because they had fancy French names, or they were what everybody seemed to be using. But of course, these products are filled with chemicals linked to disease and toxicity levels never intended for human consumption. And I realized I want to eat food where I recognize the ingredients, and I want my skincare to be the same. So enter Living Libations, not only the best and most effective skincare, hair, eyes, teeth, baby care products that I've ever found, but also the most natural. That means made exclusively with plants and oils and extracts that not only will you recognize, but you'll be able to easily pronounce. And they work, and they're high end, and they're gorgeous, and the packaging is nice, and they are effective, and you'll be able to read it and feel good about what you're putting on/in your body. Now that it's summer, having a natural zinc-based sunblock for Leela is so important, and so many of them that I found online claim to be natural, but they just aren't. Just look a little closer for words that have like 9 consonants in a row and then a number. That's not natural. Just because there's zinc in it and 50 other chemicals doesn't make it natural. But their Love the Sun sunblock at Living Libations not only works, but we feel great about putting on our baby and ourselves all summer long, and a little goes a long way. This is a great way to support the show because you probably have a face, teeth, hair, skin, eyes, maybe even a baby. Get something small, get something big, whatever your skin needs. They have a premium, natural, and wonderful product to replace the random chemical nightmare that they sell at 7-Eleven. So for 15% off and show your support of the show, go to livinglibations.com/weird. livinglibations.com/weird. And for those of you watching the video, you can see, you probably recognize I'm always wearing my Apollo Neuro. If there is one piece of tech that has changed my life the most in the past years, and Val's, it's hands down been our Apollo Neuros. Apollo Neuro is a new wearable piece of tech that helps your body recover from stress by sending vibrations into your body that gives your nervous system the sensation of being touched or held. Apollo can help you relax, sleep, focus, and be more productive. It's like a wearable hug for the nervous system, using touch therapy to help you feel safe and in control. Mine is running right now, and I love that I found this. It's like finding the fuse box for your emotions, for your feelings, for your body. You open it up. You can wear the Apollo on your wrist or on your ankle. The settings are energy and wake up. I use it all the time, especially when I'm driving or if you don't want more coffee. Social and open, great for parties. Clear and focus, great for work. Rebuild and recover, great for after a workout or a tense situation. Calm, great for meditation. Unwind, great for the end of the night when maybe you don't want to have a cocktail or smoke something. You can let your body relax you with the help of the Apollo. and fall asleep. I mean, a chemical-free way to lull yourself asleep or back asleep. I use it every single night. Apollo Neuro is not a woo-woo product. It's not a mood ring or a crystal. It was developed by a neuroscientist and a board-certified psychiatrist who've been studying the impacts of chronic stress in humans for nearly 15 years. And the Apollo's effects on stress, sleep, cognitive performance, and recovery have been proven in multiple clinical trials and real-world studies. So give yourself a gift. Give someone you love a gift that's struggling with stress or overwhelm, like we all are, and go to apolloneuro.com/weird. You'll get 10% off. That's APOLLONEURO.com/weird. Use promo code WEIRD at checkout for 10% off. Show your support for your body. Show your support for this show. All right, everybody. So thrilled to be back with Chris Gethard. Get into it. Was that bad?
No, that was great.
I was saying hi,
So good
but
to
you
see
kind
you.
of recoiled.
Oh, no. Well, I want to make sure my phone's on airplane mode.
Oh, full
as we
airplane.
talk, yeah.
See, if you were really LA, you'd go, do not disturb.
Oh, is that the LA thing?
I just feel like, because then they could still get you if they
Right.
call you a bunch of times.
Right. Okay.
I
Oh.
like that. I'm
Is
complimenting.
that how Do Not Disturb works if you call multiple times? But see,
You-
that
you
would
know-
denote that I think
Mm.
there's an important call coming at any point today. When
You
I
do?
know there's not. No.
Oh,
Like if I had it on, if there was any element of me that thought something notable was going to happen, then
Yes.
maybe I'd leave it on Do Not Disturb. But I have nothing going on. I have nothing happening. So I can go full airplane mode. You know what I mean? No one's like, hey, wait by the phone for a big time call. It's not happening.
you know how I know Chris isn't doing great? He went airplane mode.
Yeah.
Your life is airplane modable.
To put it in perspective, and this is true, we're doing this, and then I'm going to the airport so I can fly to Chicago to sign autographs at an Office fan convention.
At an Office fan
And I was
convention.
on 2 episodes
Oh, I remember.
after Carell left.
We just watched.
There you go.
And we
And
got
I'm happy
so
to do it.
excited every time you were on. Is that a thing?
That's apparently a thing. It's
You
my
haven't
first
done it
time.
before.
Haven't done it. And as you can imagine, I'm both like, this should be funny and interesting, and it'll be nice to meet some people. And I'm also deeply in my head about it, too.
Why?
Well, because The Office was not my show.
Well,
I was
yeah,
at
you're
2
going to have to, there's a certain,
There's 2 episodes of it, and I'm like, ooh, definitely one of those things where I'm like, oh, they're paying pretty good, and I have a kid, so I guess I'll go do this thing that I wouldn't say that people don't think of The Office and go, oh, yeah, that Chris Gethard vehicle.
When we watched it, like so many, we rewatched it recently. Everybody's in a current state of rewatching The Office.
Perpetually.
That's what I mean. I really think there's it's a phenomenon. It's like a mass hypnosis or a mass compulsion is actually what it is.
I will say that I was on 2 episodes after Steve Carell left.
Stop saying that. Just
But
your agent.
But to put it in perspective, and I know.
Oh, you're saying, and still.
I'm saying I get stopped for that more than anything else.
Yes, of
in
course.
my career.
Hey, you're that guy.
You're the guy
Well,
who
you
tried to hit
score.
Oscar with the
Yeah,
pipe.
you score.
You're
funny.
I had a good moment. I had a good day on the set. But I mean, I've done other things. I hosted a show on cable with my name on it for 3 years. No one brings that up. The Office though. So
Yeah.
based on me, I bring it up to say I was on those 2 episodes after Carell left, which yes, self-deprecating joke, and I know you've seen me do that too much in my life. But
No.
I bring it up to say
it's
like,
still good.
can't imagine what like the
The
people
others
who
get?
were on from the beginning to the
Can
end.
you imagine being
They-
Kevin Malone?
He probably can't leave his house.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
From the looks of him, I'm not going to make that joke. He actually lost quite a bit of weight.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I saw him in a commercial campaign. But by the way, speaking of a heavy joke that I skipped, that show certainly doesn't skip him. Have you watched it?
It's jokes.
What do you mean?
Jokes. What are you saying?
I'm saying they make a lot of fat jokes.
Oh, those jokes.
They make a lot of fat
Got it.
jokes.
Yeah, I wonder if they do that today. I wonder if the writers
That's
are
what I'm
going to do
saying.
it today.
You wouldn't do it today, I don't think.
Yeah.
But they were taking a note from the British office, certainly, that did not shy away. The joke is that you shouldn't make that joke.
Right.
Partly.
Right.
And then at a certain point, and I'm not even mad at it, but if somebody's heavy, you have to address it on The Office, in the world of The Office, not just Carell,
Yeah.
who is the character that's supposed to be like,
Foot and mouth.
and you, whoops.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but everybody by the end is like, and Phyllis, God help us if Phyllis gets a look at that M&M, it's
Right.
gone. You know, and like Craig Robinson got bigger. They had to address it. It was not just like, hey, different bodies. By the way, this isn't shots fired, and I don't mean to put you on the spot as the spokesperson
not
for
at
it.
all.
But that is something I noticed. I will say, what do you think of this? Our boy Zach Woods. Have you watched the whole Office?
I have. Over time, I have.
You're not one of the...
I feel like I've absorbed it all, but I haven't sat down and been like, we're on season 6.
I see.
It's more in the way that I think, just because it's on constantly, more like when I'm on the road, it's on in the hotel room all the time.
It's on in the plane.
It's on the plane all the time. So I've picked it up. I'm not obsessive like the people I will be meeting in Chicago this weekend.
That are going to say, do you still have that pipe?
And they're going to reference things that I don't even remember.
Yeah. Because
for me, it was 2 working days in my life that I was flattered to do.
Yeah.
But it means something to people, and that's cool.
Yeah. You know who you are?
Oh, no.
No. By the way, I opened with a roast, like I made fun of you because you were on the phone saying like, this kid's great, he's going to be on SNL. And I remembered someone else you said that about.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, don't listen to Gethard. So I opened in a roasty way, but that's not the energy I'm greeting.
Well, you really nailed
me.
You really nailed me for my well-known habit of trying to help younger comedians.
And not helping them.
I was a few I've helped.
And ultimately not helping them.
A bunch I've helped.
Who did you help?
I mean,
no, I'm not doubting.
No. I will say.
I was going to say, by the way, you're Sam Rockwell in Galaxy Quest.
Thank you. That's a great movie.
But it's a perfect movie. And also he's the guy that was only on a couple episodes, but he goes to the conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't me.
It's true.
It's just
no,
comparison.
I get it.
Okay, so only because it's nice to talk about these things.
Yeah.
Who do you remember helping? Because you helped me. You can include me on that list for sure.
I think there were a bunch of people along the way. I will say, the Gethard show was this thing in my life that I look back on it, and even I now, half the episodes, I'm like, what were we thinking? My name was on it. I would never do that today, but
I thought that recently too, because I did your show.
Yeah.
And I saw a clip because of the internet. What a great thing.
Yeah. Well, we had
a Childish Gambino record because of the internet.
Because of the internet.
We washed our butts on your show.
Yeah, we had bidets set up in front of a live studio audience, and we were blasting bidets into our butts.
And for everyone that was there, yeah, they were there, but I was there, and I felt my butthole getting squashed.
Yeah, wet.
Squashed. Not a splash, not a squish, but a squash.
You and I have a long history of talking about butt stuff.
You and I.
Yeah.
Well, the last time you did the show, we talked about eating ass, and I did have one question. Now that you're married and have a kid, I'm going to guess it's on the menu less.
Astute observation. I also feel like one of our early bonding things.
Astute?
Boom. One of our early bonding, I mean, because, if they've heard me on the show before, they know I taught you in a class, and then you were, I think, put me up on my second stand-up show ever.
Is that right? I forgot that part.
Yeah, and the second time I ever did stand-up was a show that you were like, I know you're trying to do it, come do it. Yeah. But also, in the midst of that, at one point I got a colonic, and you found out about that, and you loved that I got a colonic. And
I loved that you got a colonic.
You wanted to know everything about the colonic. And
do you remember the line?
No.
There's a pull quote from your colonic story.
Oh, boy.
I don't mean on stage, I mean in real life. And it was this, and I don't think you're going to mind. You said, oh, maybe you'll mind. Maybe we'll edit this out. I don't know. But you said, I didn't know I wanted to diarrhea on a nurse's hand, but it turns out I did.
Yeah, I never imagined how good it would feel to just let loose onto a woman's beautiful hands. I was just like, but it was her job, and she was like, and she was guiding me through it, and she was coaxing me. She was figuring out almost like now that I've seen.
It's like being a baby. It's like being a baby.
I was just going to say, I was in the room for my son's birth, and I'm not going to compare it at all, but it's the closest I've ever had.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. This woman was like, come on, ease up, loosen those stomach muscles, let it go. Okay. It's okay.
So
I have gloves on. Everything's fine. You can do this.
I will say, for those of you who haven't had a colonic, it's when something is inserted in your butt. It's only the size of a pencil. That's what they tell you. You remember this? Because I went to the same place. You went to the place I went. I think I got it first.
You got it first?
I think I got it first.
I think I got
Santa
it first.
Vita. Santa Vita in New York City.
I was on their mailing list for years. I finally unsubscribed.
It sounds like a company that makes like the chip that goes in the Terminator robots.
I felt like I told you about it.
That feels right, but I think it's possible it went the other way. And a Gmail search away. Somebody told somebody, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I think, whoever did it first, I've gotten them since. You'll never go to a place that pooping is the thing that you don't want to do in front of someone else.
Yeah.
I shit my pants.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even love, there are guys at the airport, businessmen, I'm assuming, blasting.
Oh.
They can't wait. I don't even fart at urinals. I understand that it's a gray area.
Well, it's a dangerous game too. I never fart at a urinal because
it might let loose the
I was
cargo?
once at a punk rock show in high school and a friend of mine farted at a urinal and shit. And ever since then, I said that's the most dangerous game. Not hunting men for sport.
No.
Farting when you shit your pants and you're 4 feet away from an unoccupied toilet because you had the hubris.
So close. Yeah.
You had the hubris to fart standing up.
I'm gonna
Who
say.
do you think you are?
I'm gonna say you get what you deserve.
Oh, absolutely.
I get it. In any court of law, a judge would side with the guy who farts in the because I can hear every guy that does it. I can hear him going, "We're in the bathroom.
Yeah.
If I was in there, it would be okay." And I'm like, "But you're not in there.
Yeah.
There is where you're covered. Your shame is covered. I don't have to see your face. I don't want to see your face. I don't want to see the face of he who farts." The Metallica album.
See, I would say I'm not offended. Like, I don't think it's a faux pas. Like, you're loosening up a lot of the muscles in that region. So if a fart comes out, I get it.
That I like, but I hear forced ones. I hear like Miles Davis high notes.
Those people will stop that behavior because at some point, life will teach them.
How old was your punk rock friend that was blasting a
we were
MXPX
in high school. We were in high school.
That's too young to be shitting yourself at a urinal.
Yeah.
Now?
I know. Now I'm in my 40s.
It's okay.
Now
you're not even surprised. You're like, well, I had it coming.
Well, listen,
I've had a good run.
I'll ask you, since we're on this topic, and people are probably already like, they got here already.
They're triple.
We didn't even answer. You were like, who are some comedians you've helped? And instead we've just dwelled on shit.
We'll get to how you've been an angel.
I'm in my 40s. Is it normal to have to shit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Is it normal to just always feel like you have a shit?
You're in a special place. Because I'm going to tell you something. Again, I've never talked about this.
Yeah.
Can you relate to the idea that you could shit in your 40s? I could shit, but I'm going to let it congeal a little more. I'm going to leave it in the kiln.
See, for me,
I need it to fire more because it'll come out in like a huge, like one installment, or I could have a bag of Skittles right now.
Little deer shits.
Does that?
Little deer shits.
Like I'll literally go. I like to relate to you. Yes, I could almost at any time, but I'm like, this one needs to stay in the oven. It needs 350.
And
the recipe says 60 more minutes.
I've had that, and I've had the companion thing of. Have you ever had it where you're like, I guess I'm just gonna get off the toilet because, like, at some point I have to do something else today.
This has to be done. I
got to do something else today, so I guess I'll just walk around with the rest of this shit in my butt, even though I know it's still there.
Okay, because of phones. Sometimes you poop and you're done, but you want to finish your Wordle, or you want to finish your scroll, or whatever it is.
You want to avoid the responsibilities of life. Yeah,
facts. And you sit because you're already seated.
Yeah,
and then you poop again.
Yeah,
and then you go and you look at it and you're like, oh my God. So if I hadn't been on my phone, I just would have been walking around with that. That was in my grocery bag.
Yeah.
You think about, I never think, but that was you. It was with you.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm in a terrible mood and I poop and I'm like, everything's better now. Like I thought I was sick or I thought I was afraid of the universe.
Sure.
It turns out I just had to poo-poo.
Yeah. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Like I could
right now. If we took a break right now, I could show it to you before I flushed. 1,000% confident in that. And by the way, I'm certain of it now.
Yeah.
That's most hours of the day.
And you're saying most of your poos you're just abandoning. Meaning you're going, I'm ending this like you end a series you're binging. Like you see next episode in 15 and you're like, I'm going to call this a night.
I've heard that directors sometimes have the attitude of like the movie's never finished, it just has to come out.
Yeah, it's abandoned.
And that's
how you feel about your poos.
That's how I feel about my bowel movements in my 40s.
I'm loving this. I have noted that Katie, a younger woman, is just I'm not judging. I'm like, I'm dying with relatability. It's a yes. She takes Metamucil.
I should.
Oh,
I buy it and
don't talk to me about fiber. Go ahead.
Well, I buy it. And then I realize at some point, I didn't commit to it, and now it's just taking up too much space in the cabinet.
Okay, I have a couple thoughts. One, you can get gummies that have fiber in them,
and that's like candy.
Yeah. I'm saying if the choice is eating candy and getting fiber or not getting any fiber, let's go with the candy and fiber.
Yeah.
You can also take it in pills. I've also started putting it in my smoothie, psyllium husk in my smoothie. It makes it a little thicker.
Yeah.
But when you sit down, bam, and no wipe necessary,
You get one of them.
NWN,
It's the best.
I
had a friend who used to call them.
Sick.
I had a friend who used to call them white glovers.
White glovers.
So if you were in a tux with white gloves on, you could just wipe your butt and you wouldn't see a mark.
Sometimes you're so confident, you're like, I know. And you
Not
just
me.
want to, I wouldn't.
You know me well enough to know I've never been so confident about anything.
But sometimes you're like, I'm just going to wipe as a courtessy, just to scoreboard.
You
just
do
to
always
see
give,
that this is an A+.
You do always give
But
the
you know it
courtesy.
is. It's a white glove in that you're done, you pull up your drawers, and you want your assistant to double tap a cane on the ground to alert you that he's about to throw it to you. And then he tosses it, and you catch it, and you go, I get no kick from champagne.
Mere alcohol doesn't thrill me at all, so tell me why should it be true?
There's toilet paper on your shoe. I have toilet paper on my shoe.
Which is the inverse of the eternal wipe. Where you're like, I've pooped for 40 seconds and I've been wiping for 9 minutes. What's happening
Can
here?
I tell you my solution to the eternal wipe?
Yeah.
And look, I get it. We're talking poop. I'm loving it.
Okay.
Most people are listening to this in their car anyway. You know what I mean? Or on the treadmill.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little secret.
That'll
Two
really...
weirdos in each of their ears talking poops.
Yeah, I tell
You're
you,
not bored.
you do a little cardio, that'll break it up.
Yeah,
That helps. A little cardio helps.
For sure.
Yeah.
Helps with everything.
Yeah.
I nuke it. What does nuke it mean? You get a big old ball of toilet paper and you go in and you go, ah! And that's going to be a mess, but the next one's going to be fine.
Okay.
Nuke it. Can I tell you
You
another?
abandon all. You abandon all sense of decorum in that wipe.
Just a big and back and forth vigorous, like cleaning barnacles off a ship.
Like a power wash.
A power wash.
Yeah.
And look, should I be ashamed? Maybe. Should I keep that to myself? Perhaps. Will you do it and go, God damn it, it works? Yeah.
All right.
And you'll be grateful.
I'll try it.
And your
I'll
life will
try
be
it.
better. I'm also a fan of the pinch. Go in from the front and don't wipe. Pinch. Here's your butthole. Pinch. Much cleaner, much better.
Okay.
The pinch. Give it a Google too. I didn't make it up. Are you regretting saying yes to this show?
I would just say that. I would say that if you
I
look,
saw a moment of regret.
I would say if you look at the writers' room from the Gethard show, I helped a lot of good people, and I'm proud of it.
Oh, you're going back. You're going back. You
Try,
launched
no.
some. You launched some rockets.
I wouldn't say I launched them. I would say that the thing I was always really proud about of myself in New York comedy was I tended to have a sense of like this person's interesting and good, and if I can help them out a little bit on their way to something else, I would never take credit. But like,
yeah,
I believe Joe Firestone's first writing job.
Yeah,
Julio Torres' second. Anna Fabrega.
Yeah,
Will Miles, who's great. Like so many people who passed through.
Yeah, that's great.
I think the first time Joe Perro was on TV was my public access show. Connor O'Malley, I think his first time on TV.
Okay.
Some people where I'm like, those are cool people. And I saw it.
And I knew 80% of them. Let me say, but I'm out of the loop, man.
There you go. That's on you.
Are
That's
we in
on you.
Indiana? Because we're out of the loop.
Oh, wow.
It's like I moved out of Chicago.
I understand.
You got it.
Yeah, the loop.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
You're one of our finest minds. Do you ever get your heart broken? Because I do. I get my heart helping. I'm a helper too.
Yeah.
I love helping.
This could get dark fast.
I don't want to.
This could get dark. If you want to keep it positive.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I'm very. What are you? You're like a vampire, and you go, "Don't go in my parlor." I have to go in the parlor now.
Yeah, no, I know you. I knew what I was doing there. We've known each other a long time.
I just mean, it's actually beautiful. Let me say it in the beautiful way. I care. I care about my people. And in a zoom out far enough, we're all my people. But comedians, specific kind of freaky deakies, we deal with a lot of anxiety. Yeah. Sometimes people are like, why didn't you reply to my email? And I'm like, you don't know how it feels. To quote Tom Petty, I'm free falling.
Yeah.
That was a joke because it was already, you don't know how it feels to be me.
No, it's kind of two jokes.
I'm going to pat that instead of you. So,
there's an old used tissue in there.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Would you like it?
She stuck it in there? And you just
she
never
was the last
it?
one here. She was
We're
here
gonna leave
yesterday.
that. We're going to leave that for everybody.
That stays. That stays. DNA?
JLD DNA?
I knew there was a bet. This is a day off, man. This is a day off. I'm having a great time.
Good.
So I care like you care. And sometimes I get my heart broken. There's a fine line between everyone has to do it like I do it. I sound like an old man. And then there is, I'm an old man. I just am an old man. There are things that are proven in show business to help.
Mm-hmm.
And those things can be bestowed. And sometimes they're adhered and sometimes they're not. And when they're not, I do get sad. I think about a lot. Mulaney said this on the pod, and I think about it all the time. He goes, in every photograph in every comedy club, a black and white photograph, Robin Williams, Whoopi Goldberg, let's say Dan Aykroyd's there for some reason. In the middle, there's always one guy, nobody could follow Lenny. Nobody could follow Lenny. Robin Williams is like, oh, here's the king. He told me everything, right? And like, who is Lenny? I'm not saying everybody needs to be successful or famous or rich even. It just sort of pains me when I go, fuck, man, Lenny. It's a recurring phenomenon, like rewatching The Office. Every scene, every generation has at least 3, 4, 5 of these people that you're just like, what was it? And what hurts me about it is I'm like, it's often anxiety, substance abuse, or just a fuzziness that the American capitalistic system doesn't gel with them. It's actually part of what makes them beautiful. You know what I'm saying? But then when you put them in a showcase situation, they lock up. That's not what they were built for. Does that make sense?
Totally does. I would also say, and I feel like you might disagree with this.
Can't wait.
But there's some part of me as I've gotten older as well that goes, maybe those people were healthy enough to realize
the madness.
There's another way I can be happy, and if I can be happy another way, I think maybe I should go do that, because there's a lot of unhappiness, and it's sad to realize that doesn't stop.
Okay, I didn't realize I was eating the most delicious ice cream because we just uncovered a swirl. I thought it was vanilla, but there's a delicious Gethard swirl.
Maybe Lenny went and got a day job with a retirement plan.
Yeah.
And has 3 kids.
And can we say...
And Lenny's great.
And this is the other part of the conversation. I could give you a longer list. So there's Lenny's. 5 Lenny's in every scene. Let's say there's 10. We'll call them Malcolms.
Mm-hmm.
There's 10 Malcolms. Of those Malcolms, let's say Malcolms are comedians that are working that we probably know of, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them are fucking miserable.
Yeah.
Miserable.
Yeah.
So I love what you're saying because I don't think a lot of people pause and say, why? Why do I want to be a successful comedian? Why? The answer is always to be happy. The answer is always, if I'm famous, I'll be happy. If I'm rich, I'll be happy. If I'm fulfilled artistically, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And if Lenny went, wait, I'm happy when this, and this, and that's beautiful. My friend just told me about Jonathan Winters. When he retired, he would go on these little walks. He'd go into his hardware store and crack everybody up. He'd crack up all the ladies on the bus bench. And he was like, that's all I need. If I had known, it turns out that's all I need. That's a Lenny, right?
I mean, to be fair, 4 out of 5 Lennys are probably like, dying alone in a gutter.
Like Edgar Allan Poe.
But
it's a Poe Lenny.
One of those 5 might just go be like a happy, well-adjusted person.
That's
and
right.
I'm happy for those people.
Because there is...
And that's not a tragic tale.
I agree.
It's more tragic to never know how to give up the chase when the chase is depleting you.
It turns out the chase caught up to you.
Right.
Like you were chasing something.
Are you chasing the chase, or is the chase chasing you?
It chased you. Like you were chasing a dream.
Right.
Because you wanted to pounce on its back.
Right.
But it lapped you on this the little prince tiny planet, and it came behind you and collapsed you.
Right.
And we live in a world. This is not shots fired, but when I watch the underdog win an Oscar, which happens almost every year, it's like a thing, and they go, don't give up on your dreams. It does bug me a little bit. It's do you know what I mean by that?
I do.
I'm not the guy that says give up on your dreams, but I'm like, I always say follow the dream that's following you. You get feedback.
Right.
You're doing well. You're getting laughs. It feels right. But when you're just going like, be famous, win an Oscar. Look, it worked for me. That's like the guy going like, I ate only lemons and it cured my, sciatica.
Right.
And I'm like,
it's not totally,
it's not reproducible.
And it's not totally responsible, but it's also,
It's not, yeah.
I also don't want to yuck that person's yum in their moment of victory.
I would do the same thing. I am the same thing. By the way, I was just thinking my daughter yucks my yum every morning.
Really?
And I went like, when am I going to teach her don't yuck someone's yum? So it's weird that you said that. I totally agree. I would do the same thing. I've been saying this phrase lately. If I were you, I'd be you. Do you get the piece of that?
Explain.
If I were you, it's the most basic thing.
Yeah.
If I were Chris Gethard, if I were born with your brain, your family, your body, your life, I would be you.
It's true.
But do you see the piece in that?
Mm-hmm.
Like when someone you don't understand, your mom, your dad, whoever, pick your enemy. If you have an enemy, if I were them, I'd be them.
Yeah.
You would be doing what they're doing. And if I won an Oscar and I was an underdog, I would get up there and go like, never stop believing.
Holy shit, it worked.
It works and it'll work for you.
Yeah.
It will work. Like into camera, It will work for you. Don't quit.
I had
for sure. And I can see the part that's like, is that helpful?
I have a thought, a very unformed thought. It's in my joke notebook as one of those like sentence fragments.
Like a poop that needs to stay in 30 more minutes.
But I had the thought recently that I think you'll like in this context of like, I think the dangerous phrase, like one of the more dangerous phrases in all of literature is "then they lived happily ever after." Yeah. That's like the biggest narrative cop out since It Was All a Dream. Because you just end and it's like, no, like,
yeah,
the hero ends in that moment, like the Oscar speech, but like in 2 years.
Well,
what are they going to be doing? And in 5 and 10 and 15. And I feel that.
There are people that famously, there was a cinematographer that killed himself the year after he won an Oscar. Because that's a whole other challenge. You did the thing that everybody was telling you should do. The Dread Pirate Roberts got Princess Buttercup. Guess what? New adventure. She's a loud chewer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
As you wish.
Turns
out you never had a meal with her and she's a loud chewer.
Guess what? Like 30 months later, they got in a fight over curtains, Like,
that's right.
They had to just go.
Of course I want black. I'm the Dread Pirate Roberts.
I still sometimes have this sad thought where I'm like, I'm not suicidal anymore, but I do sometimes sit here and I go, I'm turning 43 this year and I might need to double that. And that's so annoying.
Daunting. Yes.
Like, why did they get medicine working so? I gotta double this.
Yeah, nanobots are gonna clean your
arteries. I
arteries.
feel like everything cool is come and gone. Now listen,
we could unpack that, but I hear you
professionally. Now my kid is a game changer and has rearranged my priorities in a lot of ways as well, which is great. But I do sometimes have that thing of like 43, and I gotta double this. I'm gonna be so tired.
I completely understand.
For so long.
I'm so with you. On the drive-in today,
yeah,
I thought I could see myself saying to Val, dying is the best thing I've ever done. Like as I'm like slowly going out, because think about it. No more emails.
Yeah.
You email me? Sorry, I'm dying. I don't even reply.
Yeah.
You'll just see on Instagram.
Sure.
Oh, I guess he was dying. Gone. No more phone calls. No more bills. No more teachers. No more books.
Let me put this past you. A dark thought that I would not say to most people.
I already agreed with you on the idea that death could be a relief.
No, because you've known me forever.
Yes.
And you knew me when I was like a semi-tragic figure in New York, as far as people being like, that guy's great and all his friends are getting jobs and he's not. You were there for that stretch. You were witness.
Yes, but I thought you were the coolest. In fact, whenever I think about you, I think of how I said, thinking I was complimenting you, you're the best teacher. I hope you're doing this for 10 years. And you said immediately,
I think you're going to give me like a fucking panic attack. Shut up. Something like that.
You said, don't curse me.
Yeah.
And I was shocked.
Yeah.
Because I thought you were like Mr. Holland's opus. Like I was like, this guy knows his strength.
It turns out I had my own dreams too.
Of course. But I thought, like a teacher, you must live at the school and you must like teaching us idiots.
And I do.
Yeah,
I sometimes miss teaching. I miss teaching more than I miss doing improv.
Yeah.
By far, I would say.
So keep going.
So
tragic figure.
I was there, sweating it out. It was fun, stressful, and then I got some success, came and went. Had the public access show, Mr. Punk Rock. Why is he doing it this way? Turned into the cable show. Been on some things. HBO special. Like, I've written 5 books at this point. I'm in my 40s.
Wow. That's more than one a decade.
It's true.
Have you heard the phrase, because it'll make you feel good, everyone has 1 book in them, almost nobody has 2?
Look at that.
Almost nobody has 4.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are good. Keep going.
There you go.
I'm just 100% JK.
It's weirdly accurate, probably. No, but here's the thing is like, I live in New Jersey. That's a choice.
Yeah. That's on the license plate, by the way. New
it's
Jersey.
A choice. It's a choice. It's a great joke. Anybody who knows me knows I have like a real wariness with engaging with the industry. I have wariness of it, always have. Some of that's probably rooted in some self-sabotage, self-confidence issues. Some of it is also, though, like, do I want to fight very hard to excel in a field where there's so many bad things happening? Like, there are parts of me going like, I don't know, you know?
On what level?
You know, like,
I know, but
your Weinsteins, your Cosbys, your
Yeah.
people getting cornered and witnessing sexual assault.
That's what my mind went to as well. But I would also take the shallowness, the greed, all you know what I mean?
Ego,
the ego, the self-aggrandizement.
Asking someone how they're doing, and their answer is a list of projects that they have coming up, where I just go, I can't feel okay.
It's
and
a
I'm not judging.
nightmare
It's for
an indigenous person would have on ayahuasca. They'd be like, I saw a horrible future.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
And it's hard for me to keep up with it, and hard for me to want to, but I do think, because I haven't had as much relevance in the past years as I used to when I was like Mr. New York Underground guy. But I am like, man, like I put out a lot of stuff now, and I'm fighting hard to gain traction on it. And that's part of the gig, and that's fine. But when I die, I do feel like there's going to be a thing of people being like, this guy was making cool stuff the whole time. And I'm like alive now. And I'm like, oh, but people aren't noticing it. But I know I'm going to have a cooler obituary.
They'll like me when I'm dead.
They're going to like me. Like my obituary and the articles are going to be a lot cooler than my life currently feels.
That's a huge epiphany. So Eckhart Tolle says the way you feel right now, not later now that we'll feel this now.
Yeah.
The way we feel right now, and everyone listening, is how you feel about your life.
Woof.
But look at the possibility. Let's tweak the levels. Let's get some gratitude going.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get like all the things you're dreading, belonging to a system that hurts so many people, belonging to a system that can suck your soul, for lack of a better metaphor.
Belonging to a system where I once had to pitch a TV show to a DJ in a neon hat.
Oh my God.
That one. This was after my show got canceled, and I had a pitch. And I told my buddy I'm pitching this show, and he goes, where? And I told him where, and he goes, with who? And I told him who. He goes, oh, I've pitched that guy. He goes, have you ever seen his Instagram? I go, no. He goes, look at it. He's a DJ. Like his Instagram is all about how he's a DJ. And I went, and I'm not going to judge. DJs are artists.
Network executive and a DJ?
He was a network executive who his Instagram was just all his DJing gigs. And then he entered the pitch, and he was wearing a neon hat. And when I tell you...
Neon what?
Pink. And when I tell you that, as I walked out, I was like, I bombed that. And I knew I was bombing it. I couldn't for my own self-esteem pitch. Not even pitch. I can pitch to anybody. I don't care how old you are. I don't care your experience level. And I'm not judging.
What color your hat is.
But I can't. This was also a person who immediately behaved in a way where I could tell his attitude was, why should I grant you my validation? And I can't with that.
Yeah.
I can't with that.
Yeah.
I can't with that with anybody. I couldn't with that with
Steven Spielberg.
With Scorsese.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to validate myself. I would feel desperate, let alone a DJ in a neon hat. If the DJ in the neon hat had great ideas and wanted to contribute to my idea, or had constructive criticism about like, here's why I don't think this is totally, but go tweet, I can do that.
Yeah.
If the DJ in the neon hat is like, I've got 15 minutes. I'm like, no, I have 15 minutes.
Yes. I understand. We have different fuck you, I won't do what you tell me's.
Yeah.
And that's
mine
yours.
is I'll live 3,000 miles away from the heart of the entertainment industry and then move deeper into New Jersey when it's time. That's my fuck you, I won't do what you told me.
And I get it.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that. And I just in solidarity, That's
Is this for me?
yeah.
I'm gonna drink this.
Nirvana water has HPV, HMB.
Excuse
I always
me?
say
Did you just say it has HPV?
HPV. No, HMB.
It did sound that you.
I did say it wrong.
You said it. You briefly said this had genital warts.
No, I said HMP. I think.
I thought you said HPV.
We all heard that. No, HMB prevents muscle loss, so enjoy that.
Well,
I mean,
anything I
you
can
gotta
do
keep
to
what you
keep these, keep this jacked frame.
And vitamin D3. You're not a friend of the sun. Drink that up. Drink that up. This is designed for you. Feel super. Okay. What was I going to say? Oh, my fuck you, I won't do what you tell me is actually clean comedy. Because I spent, and I'm only putting this back to you, I spent so much of my life thinking that if I didn't swear and was nice, I was holy. So now when I see, and I love all these guys, Gaffigan, Bargatze, like figuring out clean comedy. So why doesn't old Holmesy? Most people think I'm a clean comedian anyway. Why not go after that nut? You know, and I literally mean that. Like, as a business decision, not an artistic decision, just a business decision, I could sell more tickets if I was 100% clean. Then I get in touch with my fuck you, I want my Gethard. And it's that wound. And I'm wondering what yours is. My wound is I'm not going to fake it. I'm not going to pretend like life isn't confusing. I'm not going to let you believe that I was pure so you can continue deluding yourself that you're pure. I would rather you go, he was filthy or you know, not filthy. You know what I mean? He was complicated and flawed and messy and afraid and angry and everything. And he wasn't ashamed. That's my gospel. I'm on stage and I go, no, project yourself on me. Because I know every nun, every whatever holy person in the car sometimes goes, fuck this guy, fucking his stupid face. And I want you to go, it's okay. You're okay. And that's my fuck you. I won't do what you tell me. And it comes from my churchy piety. Where does your nobody's going to tell me I'm valuable to come from? Or did that make you, what did that make you think?
Well, I mean, I have my, see, I walk a line where I go, there are a number of things that I've drawn lines on in an effort to have some level of integrity. It feels important to me. Sometimes it feels like no one else cares, so I sit there and go, why do I do it? I'm making my life harder.
Do it for the obituary.
Yeah, like, am I doing this to feel good about myself? You know, when I think about things like, I'd like to play venues that are all ages instead of 21 plus. I'd like to play venues that don't have Ticketmaster so people can avoid those fees. I like to, you know, things like that where I go, oh, that just means I make a little less money, or it means I have to do more of the legwork, but I have that goal in mind. And even things like just the general broad strokes of it. I sit here, I go, there are some things that I don't participate in that have made it feel like I sweat money more because it's easy. And I sit here, I go,
you Ani DeFranco'd yourself.
Well, but I sit here and I go, is that because of some integrity that I have, which is something to be proud of? Or am I convincing myself that's what it is because I don't have confidence?
A self-love thing that we were already talking about. Self-love, not self-sabotage. Like the opposite of self-sabotage is, for lack of a better word, self-love.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not even love is almost like the wrong word. It's like self-appreciation, self-tolerance, I guess is, I think, more accurate than self-love. So which is it? Are you doing it because of this flaw and then going back and changing the narrative to make yourself more comfortable? Couldn't relate more.
Right.
I will say though, as someone who doesn't have those issues, I talk to fans sometimes and they're like, yeah, our tickets were $300. And I was like, just because it got bounced, I don't know why, scalpers or whatever, something maybe I could have, Chris Gethard did, and made sure that shit doesn't happen. I don't know. I don't know if you can stop someone from buying tickets and reselling them. But what I'm saying is these things come at a cost. I'm not making those considerations. And sometimes, I'll give you an example. I was reading the Eightfold Path of Buddhism, just a little summary of it this morning. And it was like thoughts, like being clear in your thoughts and your actions. And when I saw livelihood, I got a little twinge in my stomach because I was like, am I being as pure as I could be?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not free. You know what I mean? There's just another cloud in your consciousness potentially. And the cloud rains money, and that's nice. You know?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah.
I don't mean it rains money.
Not as much as it used to. Like I had a stretch where the money was coming in, and I really slowed things down. Sometimes intentionally for certain. Sometimes where I would go, oh, I took a swing and a miss, and it had been a while. There was a stretch where if I did something, like it would get a little press in New York. It would get a little bit like, here's what he's up to now. You know, like those days of
he's on the move.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that with me. I had Anthony DeVito, who's a friend of mine. He's a comedian in New York, really great guy. He made me laugh the other day. He was like, we were in Edinburgh together last year, and he said something that made me very proud. Where he was like, yeah, for a lot of my time in New York comedy, it's like, here's the club scene, here's the alt scene. I know there's an uptown scene. Who's coming out of that scene? Then there's also like whatever fucking Gethard's up to off in that corner. And that was like a little slot that I occupied.
Yeah. I thought he was going to say the Gethard scene.
There was a little scene, you know, there was I had my own little corner of it, and that was very nice.
You do that really well. And
I did it. It doesn't happen as much anymore.
I remember, I know we talked about this last time, but remember you were like, I remember you announced you were going to do a class. I think about it all the time. You're like, and we're going to decide what we're going to do, and we're going to do something that's impossible.
Yeah.
That's the most Gethard thing.
And it worked.
And it worked?
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was.
It was a class that the whole idea of the class was like,
we're going to do something impossible. And you said it. It's not Andy Kaufman, because you don't, I like Andy fine. I'm not huge.
I have
issues.
No, I had like an my whole high school, college life. I was like, Andy Kaufman's the best.
I just don't feel the same. There's a wickedness to Andy.
Right. There's an antagonistic side of it.
I see you being more like, life is absurd. Let's give it back what it's giving us.
Well, what I took from him is he was one of those people that it was always funny, and it also made you feel something else too.
Yeah, like an umami.
And with him, it was, like an umami, but with him, it was often like, you're going to be laughing really hard, but you might actually be pissed.
Yeah.
Or you might actually be scared or confused, like these unsettling feelings.
Right.
And I think I really loved that idea of like, I want it to be funny, but I also might want to make them feel something else along the way. And a lot of when I was at my best, a lot of it, I think that was where the Kaufman showed up.
Right. And what was the impossible thing?
So that was, I basically, as you know, back in those days, improv classes usually capped at 16 people. Mm-hmm. And my basic idea was, let's remove anything about improv that feels arbitrary and see what's on the other side of it. So this idea that there's 16 people in a class, like that's a space and time and accounting issue, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to take anyone who seems like motivated and good. So I said, just write me, like, here's an email address, write me an email why you want to be in the class. And then people wrote, and a lot of them were people who were very good, who explained. And then there was a handful of people who I'd never heard of, one of whom had just gotten out of a level 2 class, but wrote this from an AOL email address, clearly signed it with a nickname, not a real name. And all it said was like, it was like, I have to be a part of this. Tell me who I have to fight. And I could just tell there's somebody. I said, this person's joining the class. They had just gotten out of level 2 and were threatening to fight everybody.
Anyone else?
So we wound up with 27.
Anyone else would go, this is not who to put in the class.
Not only did I let him in the class, I was later the reverend at his wedding, and he was the reverend at mine. It was my friend Murph, who was one of my sidekicks on the Gethard show. Oh, wow. I could sense from the email there's something special about this guy.
Wow. How did he sign it?
What's that?
Remember? What was the nickname?
Murph. His real name's not Murph.
Oh, he just wrote Murph.
It just said MURF, and I was like, whoever this guy is, he's in. So we had 27 people in, and it's a 27-person class, and the whole thought was like, how does this work? Let's look at every piece of how it happens and ask why, and then we'll decide if we need it. So like, come out and get a suggestion. Why do we do that? We do that to just start generating some content, and probably to prove to the audience that it's improvised, right?
Right, and to build a bridge between you and them.
Yeah, so
involvement.
Are there other ways to do that? Or is that a thing that's totally necessary? Or do we, like, how many people are in a show? Usually 8. Why? Well, that's probably because of the size of a stage in
And the
Chicago
egos,
back
too.
in the day, right?
Yeah, you
That
want everyone
everyone
to get
can get
service.
enough speaking time
Yeah.
and there's enough room.
Yeah.
Like that probably related to the size of a theater. A Harold is generally 30 minutes long. Why? Well, that's for an audience. What if you get a suggestion and there's one person out of these 27 that has a 45-second monologue and we all listen to it and go, that was really inspired. Great, black it out. That's the show tonight. If it's a better show, can we all put aside that 26 of us didn't get to speak? And can we
didn't get
weather the
serviced,
storm that
yeah.
the audience paid $5 and only saw a 45-second show? Are we willing to stand by that and say that was the best version of the show and you got your $5? You know, like, or is it going to be a 4-hour long show? Why does that suggestion led to so much stuff to dissect?
Why should a podcast, this is my version, why should a podcast be 60 minutes?
Right.
I don't understand.
I started asking, why does the show take place in the theater? Well, because the audience needs to know where to go.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's a pretty valid reason. Why does it have to stay there then? Like,
Right.
And these weren't questions I was asking them. These were questions that we all were generating as a group. And then we got to these class shows that I was really proud of. And this was many, many years. This was 2008, 2009, before I largely left improv, but did a series of shows that I watched. And the whole idea was that everybody came out and sat in the front row. We taped out the front row because it was like, why does everybody stand on stage? Because they're part of the show. Well, what if you don't want to be a part of the show tonight? Or what if the show doesn't necessitate you? We're not going to start with everybody up there.
Hard ego questions.
Right.
You're really uncovering like the movie Don't Think Twice, how we all have a Keegan-Michael Key's character in us that we're like, I'm here to steal the light.
Right.
And take it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
I want to kill harder so I get SNL. And you're like, what if it's just for the show? Very interesting.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. And a lot of the people in that class were great and have gone on to a lot of success, which I, again, don't take any credit for beyond. I was always pretty good at getting a bunch of good people together and boxing out some space where they could experiment.
So the performers sat in the front row.
Yeah.
And was it in a theater?
It started in the theater. There were some nights where they took the whole audience outside with them.
Very Andy Kaufman.
A little bit, yeah.
And very Steve Martin.
There's one show where I remember, it's actually funny, maybe because we just mentioned him, he was on my mind. Maybe my favorite show was, and I think you would love this. Whatever happened, the suggestion happened, some people started going out and speaking, and it somehow turned into some people talking about like things they always wanted to do as a kid and haven't done yet. And you know, some of those, I'm forgetting the exact specifics, but just like an example, people being like, I've never been off of the North American continent. I have to correct that, this and that. And then Murph walks out. Murph was also in a phase of life where every day he wore a white button down with a black tie. Every day. Every day.
Like almost a Manzukis.
A little close. But when he started doing my public access show, someone once called up and started making fun of him, calling him the Reservoir Dog, which I thought was the best. Just the best.
I also would have gone Mormon, the Mormon.
So there you go. There you go.
But Reservoir Dog, 100 times better.
So dude, Murph just walks out on stage, and Murph's a bigger guy, and he's like gravel voiced guy. He's a drinker and a smoker, and like if you saw him, you'd go, that dude looks like he's one of those broad shouldered guy where you're like, that guy probably throws back a whiskey, and you're right.
That guy at Kielbasa. And
he walked out on stage in the context of a comedy show, and he was like, there was a kid in my neighborhood growing up who could do a standing backflip, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the entire world. And I've never told anyone this, but when I was a kid, I said, I'm going to do that someday. And I think about it, and I still remember the feeling of like how cool I thought it would be if I could do it. And I've never done it, and I've never even actually tried. And tonight on stage, I'm going to do a standing backflip. And he's this like bigger, out of shape guy. You can feel the whole crowd is like, no. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it. And then it's like other people in the class. It's no longer an improv show. It's people going like, dude, like you can't really, it's going to be really bad. Like having this discussion on stage, nobody's playing characters. One guy walks out, Pete, and he's like, he goes, this dude, Matt Mayer, great guy, really great guy. Walks out, he's like, Murph. He's like, I was the mascot in my high school. Like he used to wear and he's like, and I trained.
I was a Tweety Bird.
He was like, I trained as a gymnast. Do you really want to do this? Because it's hard.
Yeah.
I've done it. It's hard. And Murph's like, I gotta try. And everyone knew Murph enough to here's We could go on so many tangents.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Dude,
I thought the gymnast was going to be like, you can't do this. You can't
Oh,
do
he
it.
straight up was like,
it's not difficult.
He was like,
you're the Kool-Aid man. You're going to flip and smash.
well, it became this really
everywhere.
gripping thing for the audience. I was up in the tech booth watching the whole thing. And it became this really gripping thing where it was like, what do you do when a person says, no, I'm going to try? And then this kid Matt stepped in and was like, well, I've done it and it's hard and I don't think you can do it.
Yeah.
But I know you. And if you're really going to try, and he starts going, Murph, the main thing,
No.
this is, dude, a show that an audience has come to a comedy theater for. He's like, when you're doing a backflip.
No, he starts giving him a tip.
Goes, dude,
now he's the threat.
He goes,
the guy giving
listen,
the tip is now the Joker.
When you go to do a backflip, your body thinks something really wrong is happening. So the whole trick is he's like the whole trick is your body's going to want to correct, but it's not a thing you've done. So your body doesn't know how to correct. So you have to mentally be strong enough to tell your legs to keep following the momentum you sent them in, even though your body wants to bail. Your body doesn't want this to be happening. Your instincts. So you have to mentally correct your own instincts. Murph's like, all right. And dude, these conversations go on and the whole audience is just like, what is happening? There's like some small moments of tension relief, but the credit, not to me, to this class, these 27 people never felt any need to be like, but before that, let's take a break for a character. Like none of it, just like this.
Nobody came out and was like, do you have a friend who's at risk of doing a backflip?
Right. Let's do a commercial parody. If you get injured in an improv show, call 1-800-FUCK-MY-FACE. None of that shit.
It's all there.
None of that shit.
It's low hanging.
And we've all done it. We've all seen it. And dude, he eventually fucking tried. And he went up. It didn't even make it a third of the way through the rotation and came down on his head and neck. And then was just laying on the stage. And the whole room went completely silent. And I was in the tech booth and I was like, I've killed a man. He signed up for an improv class.
Killed him.
He just got out of level 2 and now he's dead. Because I thought it was cool to remove all the rules. And I had this brief 10-second window where I was like, oh, man is dead because he took my improv class and people paid to watch it. People paid $5 to come and watch it. And he killed himself. The man in the shirt and tie is dead.
The Reservoir Dog.
The Reservoir Dog is dead. He's dead. And he's dead on stage.
And we were there to watch the crunch.
It was a comedy show.
He leapt from the building that was himself.
He tried to.
He leapt.
And I thought it was really beautiful in a way and then he started moving again, thank God. And the crowd felt this relief. But then the rest of those 26 people attacked the comedy show side of it after that. And it was huge laughs and all this adrenaline and energy. And almost I would argue like a little bit of like, oh, you took a different drug tonight. You know what I mean? Like you're used to smoking weed and you took meth tonight and you're on that high now, audience, and everybody in the crowd just, cause too, like, and again, I'm just being so nerdy about this thing I haven't even done forever, but like an improv audience watches the show and they're trying to figure out what's going to happen next. That's part of it. Great improvisers can stay a half step ahead of an audience's. They put the pieces of the puzzle together before the audience sees how they fit together by a beat.
Right.
And it's that wave that you're surfing of like, you got there when they were already having the thought and you defined how it was verbalized.
Yes.
Like, it's not like you got there so far ahead that they went, wait, huh?
If you get there at the exact same moment, no titillation.
You're surfing and you're at the front of the wave and they're that curl, right? Like that's the audience. And if you can just stay just ahead of the curl, that's the best improvisers. But a show like that, the crowd was just like, I'm not even going to bother. I'm not even going to bother trying to keep up with this. And
what
that was how I always thought as a teacher. And I would argue as a comedian. As a comedian, that was always kind of there.
Whenever I buy something, I always do my research, especially if it's something I'm going to ingest inside my body, because doing research before you buy means making better, more informed choices, especially when when it comes to something like a stress or a sleep product like CBD. And that's where Next Evo Naturals, my new favorite CBD brand, knocks it out of the park, which isn't always the case. A study by an independent lab confirmed that some brands contain up to 60% less CBD than they claim on the label. But with Next Evo, you can trust you are getting the best of the best. They use smart sorb technology. Trust me, if you have tried CBD in the past and you weren't impressed, give it another go with Next Evo. Smart Sorb has been proven to have 30 times better absorption in the first 30 minutes and 4 times the overall absorption as other products, and you can tell. Their stress gummies, which are CBD and whole plant ashwagandha, are lifesavers when I'm feeling overwhelmed or anxious, or if that stress manifests in my body in some tight way. If I just can't get on with my day, face my inbox, handle company coming over, they are my secret weapon to round the edges and get me back to feeling ready to face my day. If you've tried it before, I swear Next Evo is different. Gets in fast, you know how you feel, so you can dial in the dose and get it just right. Upgrade your CBD and show your support of the show. Go to nextevo.com/weird to get 20% off your first order of $40 or more. That's 20% off $40 or more at nextevo.com/weird. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. Like before I went to therapy, for real, I had no idea what codependency was or how to end a relationship in a healthy way or set up boundaries with family and people I worked with. But that's what therapy is all about, deepening your self-awareness and your understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk things through with a professional. That's what BetterHelp does. They connect you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. It couldn't be easier, because the more you know about yourself, the more easily you can maneuver through life with less suffering and more clarity. Relationships, grief, loss, anxiety, you name it. Talking about it with a professional is greater than the sum of its parts. We always say that on the show. It helps. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. You can even switch at any time for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/weirdo today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/weirdo. All right, everybody, back to Chris. Let's talk.
So scary though.
Tell me, was Murph in the rest of the show?
And he sat out a lot of it. He was very hurt. He was very hurt. And then from what I remember, the show did end with the rest of the cast did pick him up and rotated him on stage.
Oh my God.
In a way that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's breathtaking.
It was pretty artsy, fartsy, but it was cool.
We all just watched a documentary called Murph.
Dude, the Murph documentary.
Murph's Flip. I mean, I wish... I'm glad it wasn't filmed.
Listen, no, me too.
I'm glad it wasn't filmed.
But like we did a thing too, so everybody got into now I'm just rambling about an old improv class, but just another Murph story that gives you a context of who he was at this time. And he's shared this publicly, so I don't think he'll mind.
I love that you have to say that because it makes me excited for the story.
So we did.
He's talked about it.
Well, all these people got into the class, and then there was like a month or so before the class started. And I was like, well, let's not waste time. Right then, I was like, why does the class have to start on the day the class starts? Why does the class have to start in person? So started a big email list. And I was like, let's do some assignments. And some of it would be like, bring a thing that has inspired you artistically. We're all going to meet up and trade them. So somebody shows up with like a Charlie Chaplin DVD set, and somebody shows up with, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I was participating in all this because I was like another arbitrary thing. The teacher, why does the teacher not do the thing? Like, okay, here's this boxing match that I really am inspired by. I'll give you that. You give me this book. It's like things like that were almost like a book club, which I thought was very cool to start the class with a shared sense of thing. And then one of them was, okay, like do a thing that's outside of your comfort zone that you normally wouldn't do, and then write about it and reply all to this email list. And we'll all just get a sense of each other's comfort zones and how you push through that comfort zone, which has major applications in a class where you're learning art. People coming in. I remember mine was, I had an afternoon with nothing to do and I was walking past Penn Station and I was just like, supposed to do something I don't normally do. And I just went to Penn Station, looked at which train was leaving next on the Long Island Railroad, and just bought a ticket to like Ronkonkoma, and went to that station, and there was a bar, and I went and had a soda, and then I got back on the train. And it was just like, do something to just disrupt the algorithm of your day.
I've been thinking so much. We're going to stay on this. I'm not a long interrupt, but I've just been thinking lately about the value of disruption.
Yes.
And
it's crucial.
It is huge.
Crucial.
I was depressed for like 4 days in a row, and you're going to laugh. Well, you're not going to laugh because you're a sweet man, but like, it might surprise you how stupid the thing that snapped me out of it was. I was with my beautiful family doing shows, exercising, eating right, getting sunlight, meditating, reading, learning, growing, socializing. And what snapped me out of it, depressed. And what snapped me out of it was, and I already talked about this on We Made It Weird, but this will be a couple weeks later, was I went on $100,000 pyramid. This is what's important though. It wasn't the special boy. That's normally the drug I would do in that experience. I'm a special boy. They have me play games on TV. It wasn't that. It was backstage with one of the writers playing the game, just warming up. It wasn't that I was with another celebrity. It was just me and him playing the game.
Yeah.
Heart jacked, sweat, like elevated. And I was like, oh my God, like licking a 9-volt battery. Like something just shocked me.
Yeah.
And I came back into my life.
Yeah.
By the way, though, why that? I do cold exposure. It should have been that. That's literally a jolt to your system. Sometimes it needs to be it has to be a jolt that you're not usually jolting. Stand up is the jolt I'm always jolting.
When I was horrifically depressed, which has happened a few times in my life, but in 2007, I started seeing the shrink that I still see. And I remember she said to me, okay, one of the first things we're going to do, she's like, so you live in Queens, you got your subway stop, right? I'm like, yeah. She's like, how do you walk home? And I'm like, well, if I take the 7 train, I take it to 69th and I walk down Roosevelt to 67th. If I take the E or the F, it goes up to 73rd and I walk down Roosevelt. She goes, this week, never walk that way and never walk the same way twice.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, just even if it takes 5 minutes longer, 10 minutes longer, when you go home, don't walk the same path twice this week. Just walk down different blocks.
Yep.
And it didn't solve what was a very bad stretch of depression that led me to seeing a shrink. But all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's trees on this block.
Yep.
Oh, and the leaves are changing colors. And I never walked down this block. So how would I have seen that? Right. Or like, oh, there's a restaurant on this block. I never eaten here. Oh, I should eat at this place. I didn't even know this was this close to my house. Oh, look, it's like
you're forcing
family.
Your body.
You know, I lived in Queens too. Oh, this is a Colombian family must have opened this place, and I didn't even notice they opened it. I should go support them. I should go try this. You know,
it's like before you feel it, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like what a happy person would do is that. So you're doing it, and you're also doing what you want your brain to do. You want your brain, like a grid in Manhattan, to form new connections. You're thinking in a way that's stuck. I'm going to manifest that in the third dimension, like in physical reality. I'm going to start moving differently. And then the brain mimics it. It's one of those things like walnuts are really good for your brain. Walnuts look like brains. Like what the fuck is going on here? There's clues. So I was just thinking about that. Reggie Watts did this show and he was like, that was one of his things. He was like, drive home a different way.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about the way that charges move around your brain. We want them to change. It keeps doing this. And this is making me sad. Pyramid, as arbitrary as that is, made it shift. Walking home a different way makes it shift. And I was just thinking about that yesterday morning in the car. Crazy.
Because I fall into traps too where I sit here and go, okay, I just got bad news about a contract. How am I going to pay my mortgage? I'll be fine. Think about it. The contract's still like, okay, you took a pay cut, but it's not big enough. You can still pay the mortgage, you know, like, okay. And you dwell on a thought like that. I have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
He's 4. Pay cut. Where can we tighten the belt? This and that. And I go, sometimes if I go, I'm driving home and I'm going to get off the highway one stop earlier and figure out the local roads. I can't sit here and think about mortgage, pay cut, kid, daycare costs. Because right now I have to go, is it right or left? And that's what I need to deal with right now. And that's a simpler and easier thing. And sometimes that can let me out of mortgage, kid, pay cut, ego, shame. What did I do wrong? You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes just needing to know, oh, wait, this road, oh, I think I know where I am. Okay, I have to deal with that now. And it's replaced that thought.
Okay, just to relate, I have a hot tub. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very simple one. It's called a soft tub. I recommend it. They're not a sponsor. I'm just saying, like, it's just a circle. It's lightweight plastic. You fill it with water. Very lo-fi. It's hot water. I get in it.
Yeah.
I'm in it this morning. What am I doing? I was taking what I know our average credit card bill is and multiplying it by 12.
Just to see.
Just to go like,
yeah.
Wow, that's how much we spend a year just on the credit card. That's not bills. That's not mortgage. That's not all that stuff. So exactly to your point, you can be in a hot tub, but if you're stuck or like get off the highway one stop earlier, maybe instead of getting in the hot tub, and I actually can agree with this, I should have gone on a walk and gone a route that I had never gone before.
Because if the hot tub has fallen into that level of routine, you've almost developed an immunity to what it offered you when you first got into it, right? Like you've built a tolerance in the same way you can build a tolerance to a medication.
That's right.
You've built a tolerance.
Exactly.
The hot tub no longer feels so simple and joyous that it breaks you out of it for 30 seconds.
And
so
if
something
you
else
came
has
over
to for now.
and got in the hot tub, you'd be like, this is incredible. I got to get a hot tub. And I'm like, interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I have it. And sometimes I'm in there going like, times 10 is, okay. And then there's 2 more. Fuck. Like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So Murph.
Oh.
Penn Station. Murph.
I go and take the train. Email it out to everybody. I got on a random train. I went to a random town in Long Island. I looked around a little bit. The next train back came in 20 minutes and I spent 20 random minutes in this town by myself. No one knew I went. Just had that as a day.
It's
little
like
disruption.
it's like breaking the Matrix.
Yeah.
It's like they're watching, Christoph in the Truman Show is watching and going, what?
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense. And you're like, ha.
And there's other people emailing in, I forget the exact examples because this was in 2009 or 10. But people saying like, I realized I had a sick day from work, so I just took it. I realized it's towards the end of the year. So I just took a sick day and I went to a museum on a work day and I didn't apologize. And people saying that, again, Murph, who at this point, remember, it's before the class. We have not met in person yet.
This is pre-flip Murph.
He's a level 2 student with an AOL email address, and we only know him as MURF. We don't know his real name.
Yeah.
None of us have seen him.
These are the classics like Johnny. There's just like people at UCB. I used to live a more Bowery Poetry Club lifestyle
we
where
did.
I knew people. I'm not judging, labeling, or distancing myself from them. I just knew people. His name is JAWNEE.
Johnny.
And that's all I know about him.
All these people, yeah.
And here we are talking in the green room.
I think I made a lot more sense in that world than I do in my current state of engagement with entertainment. But we'll talk more about that later.
From an outside perspective, disagree. We'll get to it later.
So Murph's email comes in for this assignment. I think it was assignment like 7 or something like that. We did the early icebreakers, and now we're up to number 7. And he goes, so I was really drunk last night and really out of it. And I got on the train, and the train was just sitting in the station. It wasn't moving, and I had a lot of whiskey. And this woman came up to me, and she was clearly pretty troubled. And she says, hey, do you want to sleep with me for money? And he's like, no, I'm good. Thanks so much. And then she went down the other end of the train. And then I sat there and I said to myself, hold on, assignment 7. And I'm reading this email and I'm like, oh, no. And then he basically said that for a few dollars. He said, I don't want to finish, but if I give you $5, we just like stick a hand in my pants. And I'm reading it and I'm like, I am the teacher of this class. And then immediately it came in. And within minutes, there were other people going like, hey, I don't want to feel like I have to match that bar. Like this is too. And then he's writing back. He's going, look, everybody, we haven't met yet. And you're going to learn that.
This is before they had met.
No one had met. And he's like, you're going to meet me and you're going to learn that if the assignment is for me to get out of my comfort zone and do a thing I've never done, I've lived a lot of life. Like he's this mystery man. And we met him and that proved very true. But that was one that I actually went.
Miyagi with the hand down his pants.
Dude, at that point, Will Hines was in charge of the school. And I actually went to Will and I said, so a thing happened and I think you're going to hear about it and you might need to fire me. Just before,
You
he was
are-
like, the class hasn't started. It hasn't met yet. What do you? I was like, so a guy.
Why everything you say
Yeah.
should be followed by a black title card and it says Gravitas Pictures. Like everything you say with the wine napkin or Fox Searchlight.
There you go.
Everything you say, you
Yeah, with
walk
the guy
in, like,
shooting the
You
arrow.
walk
Yeah.
into an office. Exactly. You walk into an office and you go, something's happened. I think you're going to hear about it and you might need to fire me. Gravitas Pictures presents. And then
But it was
it's
true.
the flip. It's this, what it is it's cosmically gorgeous because it's true. We do live in a very wild, our kids show us this, my daughter's 4 as well, wild, when I say reasonless, I don't mean that existentially necessarily. I just mean like we're imposing these rules. Podcasts are 90 minutes because TV used to be 30 minutes to sell advertisement because we needed to quantify, and we're like 2 episodes. So there are all these assumptions going on. It's like Don Draper says, you're born alone and you die alone, and they slap a lot of rules on you to make you forget that, but I never forget.
Yeah.
That's his mission statement.
And it applies to all society, Pete.
That's what I'm saying. You're
All
reminding people, as the mischievous artist, as we should be, what are you talking about? We're, as I always say, we're on a planet, but that's real. But we're also members of awareness. We're members of a thing that are aware of each other. So you could think of that as like a field, and we're walking around, and like I understand maybe some people get a little uncomfortable with the hand down the thing. What it does for me, like a good performance art, is it reminds me that art can be a naked woman in a room screaming at a chicken. And I've said this a million times, we had a better sense of that in the 60s.
Yeah.
And now when I watch Black Mirror and stuff, and they have the guy in the room and every wall of his room is a screen, and I'm like, your awe, your wonder, your potential for novelty, your potential for disruption, your potential to do something that the Christoph in the moon watching you on the fake TV show, your ability to disrupt that is being taken. And I don't even mean this in like a scary way. I just mean it in a literal way. We think, what's the problem? I'm bored. I'll look at my phone while I take a dump. I just told you I do that sometimes. But when you don't, and you let the boredom in, sometimes you remember, like, it's almost like waking up from a dream briefly. You go like, wait, I don't have to be on this conveyor belt.
Yeah.
I can get on the train
Yeah.
and go to that weird town.
And things are tenuous.
Yeah.
And even like red lights, the only reason they work is because we all agree to
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
But some maniac could just lean on the gas
That's
and
right.
go right through it.
That's right.
And maybe there'll be a big crash. Or maybe he'll just go through the intersection and everything will be fine.
That's a
like
New York City thought. I'm trusting my life to this cab driver, and he seems very tired.
all the time. And
Yeah.
we don't realize we're doing it. Like, you'll love this. So
Well, you're trusting me to a certain extent. Obviously, you know me, but I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm actually trying to inspire people. I've done this on stage a couple times. Remember that
Go
story?
for it.
I
Yeah.
go, people are afraid of flying because they don't want the airplane to crash. But you're never not in this airplane. And I put my arms out. I go, you are never not in this airplane.
Yeah.
And really, that's just reminding you you're an awareness in a vehicle. You're an awareness in a vehicle. And that's not, it should put a oomph in your day when you go, if we're never safe, we're always safe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Meaning there's only one level of safeness, and it's the only one there is. So don't worry about it.
Everything you just said, I live in a very small town in New Jersey now, and I've started volunteering as an ambulance driver on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, this is the most Chris
It's true.
Gethard thing I've ever heard.
It's kind of my favorite thing I have going in my life right now, outside of my family.
Yeah,
It's kind of the thing I get most excited about,
the ambulance.
the ambulance. And I do it on Tuesday nights. But everything you just said, think about that, Pete. Like, there's people who they call 911 when they're in moments of extreme duress and fear. You don't dial 911 when you're on the fence about it.
Right.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
people generally want to avoid calling. If you can drive yourself to the hospital or your spouse or
It's like
whomever,
$6,000 or something.
right? Like, no, it's the free service. It's a volunteer.
I'm
Point
glad.
being, though, right? Like,
you have your SAG rate, though.
I do. I have my SAG minimum. I work at the minimum.
Your agents can get some of that.
But point being, like, these people are dialing 911 and they assume the people showing up have some level of authority,
competence,
and competence. And look, I've been trained, but it's still me. It's still the guy who was on TV with you a couple years ago blasting bidets into our butts.
Right.
And I show up and I try to help people.
Imagine if someone like in a real state looks and goes, bidet
I've had this joke on stage. Someone's final words are going to be, "Aren't you the boss from Broad City?" And it's going to be so sad when it happens. Like, that's been my joke.
And that's how they know they're going, because they're hallucinating.
They think that like, you played Alana's boss on Broad City. And that's someone's final words. I have a whole bit about this. But in the context of this conversation, though, I just want to point out to you, like, when you're saying we have this assumption of safety.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I now participate in a thing where I know these are very well-intentioned, good-hearted volunteers who show up because other people need them.
Yeah.
And I'm a driver. It's lower commitment. Like, the EMTs certainly do take classes and they have to re-up. But a lot of them are also retirees.
Yeah.
People in their 60s.
That want to feel meaning, purpose, but maybe they're bored, maybe they're lonely. And they're people.
Right. And it's a social thing in a way. It's their social network as much as it is this thing to help.
Yeah.
But when you're having a heart attack, it's not their social network. They're showing up with an AED machine, hooking it up to your chest and electrifying your heart.
Yeah.
And it's made me take a step back and realize so much of society is hanging on by a string like that.
Yeah.
And we're convincing ourselves that there's infrastructure to help us.
That's what uniforms are. Uniforms are like, I'm not a guy, I'm this uniform.
It's like,
it's what a judge wears a robe and we stand because we're co-conspiring to create a reality. This person is fair.
Right.
And that reality goes both ways. We believe it, so we feel good that there's a judge, and the judge is affected by the rising as well, and his robe as well.
Whereas the judge, like,
he takes a shit and he does the blitz.
Jerked off to some porn he wasn't expecting to like yesterday. Right. You know what I mean? Like, he was just like, oh, I like that. Yesterday. The judge, the guy who's deciding
that's the Bill Burr
how long you go to jail.
There's a guy on stage telling me I'm going to hell, and I'm like, he's just some guy.
Yeah.
He likes soccer. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, he likes soccer was a line that really stuck in my brain.
I really am pretty convinced that we're perpetually closer to living in a Mad Max-like reality. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm just like, oh, now that I participate in this volunteer organization that's underfunded, that helps people, and I see that people rely on it and they don't even think. Like, I think people think we're sitting at the firehouse waiting for the call, and then the door goes up and we jump in the ambulance and we get to you.
It's like Paw Patrol.
It's like, no, yeah, exactly. Like I'm Chase, and it's Chase and Ryder and
well done.
Marshall.
Yeah.
Rocky and Rubble. We're both fathers. We're both fathers. You're Sky, Liberty. We're both fathers. But it's like, dude, like, I'm the EMT on Tuesday nights. If someone in my town calls, I'm not an EMT, I'm the driver on Tuesday nights. If someone in my town calls 911 on a Tuesday night, like, I'm home watching Ted Lasso with my wife.
Wow.
And I throw my pants on.
Wow.
And I run out the door and I drive to the fires and I get there. And that's
is
society's
the ambulance
holding
in your driveway?
No, the ambulance is at the firehouse. And I have 7 minutes to get there. And if the pager goes off at 4, my shift is 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. If it goes off at 4 in the morning, I wake up and I get out of bed and I'm running. I sleep with my shirt and my socks on, but I throw my pants on and I run to my car and I'm driving to a firehouse. And there's 2 EMTs from other parts of town doing the same thing. And the person who called 911
thought it was Paw Patrol.
You assume that those people, and in some places, now look, in cities it is. In cities, these are paid positions, but there's places like volunteer fire squads, volunteer ambulances, and soup kitchens, and drug harm reduction centers, and all these places are just.
Whenever you go to a COVID test, that's when it became very clear. You're just some guy.
You're a schmo.
You're a schmo.
And God bless you. You're trying. You're doing more than I can, but you're a schmo.
We're schmoes, but you are over there, and maybe you went a little too deep with the prongy prong.
And there you go.
Some guy.
You're a guy.
I've been thinking
you
about that.
You look at Reddit too much.
Right.
You worry too much about your fantasy football league.
You didn't understand eternal sunshine.
And you're testing me to see if I have a plague that might kill me and my family.
Yeah.
And that's all of society all the time.
It's another way of looking at we're all in airplanes.
Yeah.
And what we have is each other. And it's all red lights. It's all red lights. It's all a co-conspiring. So be careful what you're co-conspiring to create, because the good stuff is all in agreement and the bad stuff is also in agreement. Meaning, not to get too metaphysical, this whole thing is a reflection of what the mind is choosing. Does that make sense?
It does.
The mind is choosing this, the world looks like that. The mind chooses this, the world looks like that.
Constant rationalization.
And just like you, is it my fear of this or is it my punk rockness? I'm the same way. And those are just the issues that we have a semblance of an idea of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was Freud or it might have been Jung, but it's like the subconscious is the iceberg. Like we don't even know why we do anything.
Yeah.
And that's why advertising, influencing, all these things work, is because it's in the realm of symbols.
Mm-hmm.
I read an email, I go to bed, I have a dream. Like, you were in my dream. Another bit I only did once, but I was like, I met Matt Damon, which I think is really funny because now I might be in his dreams. Like he might see me in his dreams. This is 10 years ago. But that's true. It's all of it. How you do anything's how you do everything. And it's all in agreement.
I think about it so much too, and I'm sure you do as well. I look at my kid and I'm like, he just like wakes up and eats and goes to preschool for a few hours. And then maybe one of the kids in the neighborhood is playing and they play outside together. And then he comes in and he eats again. Then we read a couple books.
This again.
And then he goes to bed. And I'm like, dude, he has no idea that I'm sitting here going, I got a contract reduction on this project. I have these ideas and it seems like I can't get anybody to buy them. What am I going to do? What if I can't get enough SAG work to get insurance? What if I can't do this, do that? He has no idea.
Yeah.
And to see someone else who didn't sign up for my life with no foundation.
Yeah, he didn't.
And
it's like when you see a homeless person with a dog.
Right.
Yeah.
And people get mad, probably irrationally. If like the
Yeah.
dog is giving the person companionship, and that's probably insanely important.
And
But the
unhoused
instinct is, the dog didn't do anything.
Right.
You probably did something.
Right. Yes, exactly. You want to scapegoat them.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, I am responsible not just for this kid's welfare, but for not letting my fear become his fear.
I was just saying that to Val. I was like, don't parent from your wound. Because I was noticing that I was pretty lackadaisical about Leela, meaning everything will be fine, which is good.
Yeah.
You should have some of that.
And probably true.
Meaning don't sweat it too much.
Yeah.
Work it, do your best, but also have an autopilot that goes in. It'll probably be okay. Okay, relax. But I also realized that and I wasn't neglected as a child, but I felt by any means, that's a joke. I was hanging with my mom most of the time and my dad was home every night. You know what I mean? It wasn't brutal. And yet there was a feeling of the way we parent now, sort of the Bluey way.
Yeah.
Big feelings. I see you. Oh, I understand you really wanted that raincoat. You know, all that. I think it's great. So it wasn't my experience.
Nor was it mine.
Nor was it any of us, I don't think. But I thrived in that. Any sort of, not by my choice, I think I would have preferred the Bluey way, but any sort of friction or lemon in the water made me go, I started scheming. I was like, I'm going to build a rocket. When I was in a punk band, we had a song called Rocket Dream, and it was about building a rocket to leave home. And I was like, they think I'm just some person that lives in the house, like Ex Machina.
Right.
I'm the robot in the cage, but I'm slowly working you to be like, okay, and I just stole another piece for the rocket. So I realized that I was parenting a little bit from my wounds, going like, yeah, it's great to say Leela will be okay, but am I putting on her like, if we kind of cruise, she'll get driven enough to spite us and build a rocket. I was like, that's fucking stupid. It's no harm, no foul. Everything's fine. But I recognized that I was parenting from what worked for me, which might not be the healthiest choice.
Yeah.
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 Can I add? Go.
No, please.
From the other thing that you were saying, I've been a lot more courteous on the road lately, and not just out of fear, although that's an element to your Mad Max thing. But I was recently visiting. I don't want to out anybody, but let's just say people are on pills that you don't know. A lot of us, I know there's the opioid crisis, but there's also just people that are using opioids, meaning they're just on drugs. And there are people with guns, and I mean like legal guns. And there are people with very low IQs that have guns, legal guns. So what you made me think of, and again, I'm not trying to propagate fear. I'm just saying we also have an understanding that people that have guns, and we're seeing that this isn't true all the time, we think that they're in the Paw Patrol. And surely they must be like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
They're like Gandalf. Who are you to deal
They
out life
think
and
they
death?
are. They clearly think they are.
Exactly. But that's so look, I can't solve any big issues, not in this conversation, but I'm saying on the road, like on the drive here, some dude fucking veered right in front of me. And I'm a sarcastic driver, meaning I want to get next to him and be like that, like a Chandler face.
Yeah.
Not anymore. I stop before our windows are even lined up, not out of fear. It's just, I don't want to even toxify my own reality with my vitriol and my anger and my self-righteousness. And I just go, if I was him, I'd be him. Right.
Right.
And then right behind that is, let's just say I found out someone I know far away has a very low IQ and has a gun, and it's legal. And I was like, you think they're going to come out like Denzel Washington in a movie, and they're the meditator. They're clear. They get that vision, like, and like Batman. Oh, get the Penguin first, then punch the Joker, because then Killer Croc, he's over here. It's not that. It might be somebody who isn't very test-wise intelligent.
Yeah.
And they might be on drugs, legal drugs.
Right.
Even if it's an anxiety reducer or something. Okay?
Yeah.
Anxiety might be useful in a situation where you have to decide life and death. So I've just been humbled in the way you're talking about, meaning don't kid yourself. We're all on airplanes. Don't kid yourself. We only stop at red lights. And don't kid yourself. Not everybody with a gun is fucking ghost dog samurai. You know what I mean? It's not the case.
It's also like,
it's a guy named Julian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's also a world too. It's like you pull up next to somebody and you want to make that sarcastic face because they cut you off. And it's like,
and we ended up at the same light. I was like, you just risked both our lives, and here we are at the same light.
Because there's two things that can happen: is you make the face, and they either
feel shame
or give you the finger,
yeah,
and then you both drive away. It either ends where you both drive away, or any other way that it ends, is not a way you want it to end.
That's right.
There's one way where everybody drives away, but you got that in.
Yep.
Any other ending?
And do you really need to win it at the buffet? My friend Nate Craig has a joke: when you lose in Vegas, don't win it at the buffet. Don't win it back at the buffet. Val and I say don't win it back at the buffet almost every day. I've texted Nate this. It's a bit that just filled a gap in my life. You got scared. Someone cut in front of you, 2 lanes in front of me. I had to hit the brakes. Scary. You got scared. So you lost at the casino. Don't win it back at the buffet. Yeah. Don't pull up to him and be like, why? You're risking so much.
I do have some moments that come to mind from growing up in New Jersey where those were some of the most validating moments in my life.
Dude, I was in a car with somebody from New Jersey. Prescott Tolk is his name. Mm-hmm. We were in Chicago, and we stopped at a stop sign, and these people were crossing in front of us. And then when they stopped, they were kind of like drunk kids, and they're like, you can go now. And Prescott threw it in park, got out of the car, and was like, oh, I can go now? It's okay for me to go?
Yeah, Jersey people we're crazy with that.
Like, oh, thank you for letting me know I can go. Like 5 dudes. And I was like, what is this?
You know that have I ever told you that the me you know, once knowingly started a high-speed police chase on a highway?
Gravitas Pictures presents.
Have I told you that?
No.
Yeah.
What?
When I was in college.
What?
I was once driving. I had 12 points on my license, I think, because I had speeding tickets and accidents. And I think it was whatever number it was one away from losing my license. If I got one more point on my license, I would not have a license, which would have been a disaster. Needed it to get back and forth to school and work and things. And I was driving on Route 287 in New Jersey, and I was flying. It was the middle of the night. And this was that stretch of my life where it was like, I was a full-time college student. I worked 3 days a week at a magazine and packed in pretty much 40 hours in the 3 days so I could also go to school. And I had already started at UCB because I started there when I was into my sophomore year in college. So I was like never sleeping. It was stupid. Burning myself down. Full-time college student, full-time job, and going into the city to do comedy as often as I could.
Wow.
And I was driving and I was exhausted and I was doing like 90 something. Around 90 probably. And I saw the headlights flick on the center medium. And that's only a cop, you know?
Yeah.
But I was going so fast. I keep going. And then a few seconds later, I look and I see that the lights pull out and the car's behind me. And I'm like, that has to be a cop car. But he hasn't turned on his sirens yet.
I was pulled over 2 days ago. That's a thing. There's always the moment where you're like,
what's happening?
Oh.
Where's that? Now I react.
I think that's when they're calling it in.
I think so.
Yeah.
So I go, he hasn't turned on the lights and siren yet. There, I can see the next exit. And I went, I'll fucking make it to that exit. And I hit the gas. And I said, let me get to that goddamn exit. And he started accelerating, but he still didn't turn on the lights. And I mean, you
wanted to see where this goes.
But let me also say,
you just became a bigger fish.
You've known me in some stretches where I was more unhinged. You've seen it. You've been around. We've been in each other's sphere. And this was before I had any treatment. This was in a stretch of life before I had any. This was just the state of my life. Like, you and I have known each other long enough that there's been a few times where it's been like, oh, like Gethard's acting crazy, you know, like, and that's been a word that spread because things broke again. This was when that was just the state of being.
Wow.
So I was like,
you went back to how you were. This is when you were.
This was when I were. Yeah.
So, this is when I were.
This is when I was that. So in my head, I was just like, as long as he doesn't turn on the lights, I'm going to just go for it. And I made it to an exit and got off the highway. And it was a big looping exit. So I could see when I was like 2/3 of the way up, I could see the headlights that he was also taking the exit. And it was some area of New Jersey that I didn't know.
Again.
Well, dude, here's the best part is, so I took a few random turns off this exit and wound up in this neighborhood and turned off all the lights in the car and then like got down.
Like drive.
Like, yeah, like total darkness. And then I was sitting there and I was down there and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, it was only then that I was like, what the fuck? And then I kind of poked my head up and I could tell it was like the houses were really wealthy. I was like, these people are going to call the fuck, what am I doing? Like, what did I just, holy shit, what did I just do? You know? I was really scared. So I waited a few minutes. I was like, I got to get out of here.
I love that there's a cop siren in the distance as we're telling the story.
But in my head, I was just like, you know, okay, I've learned my lesson on this. And I get back to the exit to get back on the highway, and the cop was just waiting there. And he pulled me over. He knew at some point I was going to have to get back to the highway.
Will you stop when you're talking to me?
He pulls me over.
You wait, were his lights off? Because in the movie, Gravitas Pictures Presents, go back, boom.
He turned them on.
And they come on, and you're like,
I was like,
there he is.
Fuck. And he was pissed. Real pissed.
How could he be sure?
He
got your license. That's
I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe, but either way, he walked up. He's like, license, registration, insurance, now. I get my license out of my wallet. I give him the license. I open up my glove compartment and I just was like, sir, I'm so sorry to tell you this. I can't, I don't know where my registration and insurance are. And he's like, you have to be fucking kidding. He's like, after all, you don't, I was like, they're not, they should be in there. I don't see them. I'm very sorry about that. And then he looks at my license. Of course, it's like, Mr. Gethard, do you know why I'm pulling you over?
He said Gethard?
He said Gethard. Didn't correct him. And
Mr. Gethard.
He goes, he's like, you know, you're going so fast. It's so unsafe. He's like, do you have any points on your license already? I was like, yeah, if I lose, if I lose,
If I get one more.
if I get one more, I'm going to lose my license. He's like, are you fucking serious? Like every step of the way, he's like, you're fucking kidding me, right? And then he looks at my license and he goes, I'll never forget. He goes, so it says here you live in West Orange? I go, yeah, I'm going to my parents' house in West Orange. And he goes, but this exit does not get you to West Orange. And I go, no, it does not. And he goes, so I am safe then in assuming the only reason you got off at this exit was to evade capture by me? And I heard that and I'm like, that's like jail, evading arrest, you know? And I just looked at him and I just go, I'm going to be honest, sir. Yeah. I was evading capture by you. And I just want you to know that I'm aware it's by far the stupidest thing I've ever done. And to this day, I don't know why, he just looked at me and he's like, you know what, man? Have a good night. And he just gave me the license back. And first of all, when people say white privilege isn't real, I'm like, oh no, I've lived it right there. I've lived it, first of all. But secondly, I'm like, all I could ever think of, Pete, was like, I think he legitimately realized that I was 20. And I think he was like, this is a 20-year-old kid and this will actually ruin his life. Like it will actually. He's going to go to jail for evading arrest from a state trooper, driving without most of his documentation and going 30 miles above the speed limit with 12 points on his license. Like this kid, it's going to ruin his life.
35.
That's all I've never totally been sure, but that's all I can think of.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
Unless in that moment he had a vision of you on a bidet in front of a studio audience.
Like, this guy is going to do some alternative. He's going to do some alternative comedy someday that's beloved by a small but mighty fan base.
Gethards. Gethheads?
The Gethheads, yeah.
Yeah, the Gethheads.
Yeah.
That name didn't age well.
No.
Most an incredible story.
Most things I've done haven't aged well, as you know.
Oh my God, this microphone is moist. Every story you tell, I'm freaking out.
Yeah, and it was bad. It was really dumb.
I got pulled over 2 days ago, and again, I felt for no reason, he just dropped the number of miles over I was going.
Just to help you out a little bit.
Yeah, and but I also have been pulled over not that long ago, and it was the opposite. The guy was very curt, and this guy was just kind of like, he was telling me stories, did not recognize me. All I said to Val was, I was happy speeding. I was on the phone with a friend, just having a great day because my depression had broken.
Yeah.
I was cruising.
Yeah.
I wasn't driving dangerous. I was going too fast.
Love it.
And I swear, this is what we do. We build a story. The story that I do not think is literally true, but I'm still going to tell you, is that I was a beam of light. I was like...
Did you tell the officer that?
No, but as soon as he talked to me and I'm just like, immediately admitted fault, immediately, like anything I could do to just, like, I was just like happy to see him. Like there was no... I had a Mountain Valley Spring bottle and he thought it was a beer bottle. And I was like, oh yeah, we having like a little moment. He was like, you'd be surprised. And I was like, this is fucking privilege for sure.
Yeah.
I concede that. And I'm a little embarrassed and shamed, but I'm also just like, I love this guy in the story. I love this guy that he decided he had you.
And he was pissed. He was pissed too.
But he got past it.
I got out of a ticket back then too once when I was a kid because I was so scared that I kept calling the cop, Your Honor. He's like, do you know you were speeding? And I was like, I know, I'm really sorry about that, Your Honor. And he's like, that's what you call a judge. He's like, I'm an officer. And my response was, I'm sorry about that, Your Honor. And he laughed so hard. And he was like, you know what, just go, get out of here, just go.
I don't know what I mean. I think I just mean you're likable and people root for you. You have a get out of here face.
I think I have a...
You're not the guy in a movie you would never get cast as the guy that gets the book thrown at him.
I don't think so. But I think especially back then there may have been some sense that maybe some of these people were like, this kid seems stressed out enough.
Yeah.
You know, like this kid seems like he's pretty
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
broken.
Like, what are we aware of that we don't know we're aware of?
Yeah.
And in that moment, he was listening to a gut or something.
Yeah.
And that's what, again, I can't know this is true. And if I had to bet, like, is it true? I'd say no. But I'm like, this guy's picking up that he is pulled over a guy that made a mistake, and
nobody got hurt in the process.
Yes, and has been driving more slowly and more safely, and it was like, I can't call it, but interesting. Any ambulance stories?
Oh, so many. It's the best. I mean, so first of all,
Do you sleep well on those nights?
Initially I didn't. Initially it was quite hard. But now I do. I mean, because it's such a small town. Like, to put it in perspective, I worked Tuesday nights. There was one stretch where we didn't get a call on a Tuesday night for 9 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So this is not like a procedural where I'm flying out the door all the time.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, you know, it's a very good-hearted thing to do. All the people involved I really admire them. Most of it is helping elderly people. Mm-hmm. That's been a very eye-opening thing. Excuse me one moment. I have to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I can't help but notice you sneezed over there, but your parents live in West Orange.
There you go.
The weirdest riff.
You sneezed in that direction
Did you sneeze
to
to evade capture?
I
was just going to say my mom is older now, getting older, and they're both in their 80s, and I'm just like, these people, it's a weird combo of need help and won't ask or admit that they need help.
And then there's there's an app on my phone, and you get all the alerts in town, even if you're not on duty, because there are situations where, let's say there's already been a call and the crew on duty is out.
Yeah.
And then another call comes in. Well, now you need to scramble, and if you're around, go.
Wow.
You know, it's like that type of thing.
It's
so
weird.
You see all the alerts all the time. And most of them are false. Most of them are an elderly person fell, or an elderly person's medical alert bracelet went off and we can't get in touch with them and we need you to go check on it. Or, you know, a pre-existing condition and you're giving a person a ride to the hospital because their spouse is also in their 80s and they can't drive at night. So can you give them a ride? It's very simple stuff. But the ones that aren't simple, I can say I've been doing it a year. I've had about 30 calls.
Can I ask real quick?
Yeah.
Why did you sign up for life?
I think
to help for life.
My wife, they put a note in the mailbox that was like, "Hey, we need volunteers. Think about signing up." And my wife was like, "I think you'd be good at this. Like, you're pretty good." I'm strict for a guy who's been riddled by anxiety. One thing that anxiety people I think will tell you is very often we're actually very good under pressure.
Yeah.
Because we live in that headspace.
Right.
The problem is we live in it when it's not warranted or real.
That's right. So that's called our dry run.
But in an emergency, there's a lot of people going, "What is this feeling? I haven't," and I'm like, this is my comfort zone. Right. This is why I'm so annoying at parties. You know?
That's right.
So she's like, "You're a really good driver. You're good under pressure." And I signed up, and it takes a little more time than we anticipated. But I really like it. I like helping. I like finding small ways to help. I used to think that I could make comedy that gave people who needed something those things. And I think in those days that was true. Like my HBO special was about depression and suicide and stuff. And people have told me it helped them. And the old Gethard show, a lot of the people who watched it say it helped them when they were younger and they needed it. But I don't know that my comedy, at least right now, has that potential as much. I don't know if I'm as relevant as someone in that space. I think a lot of the things that I had to fire, I think I went and fought those fights, and and now there's other people with fights, and I don't want to take up the oxygen in that room, and I've had to take a deep breath and be okay with that. But now I realize, like, oh, that feeling of helping people through my comedy, you can just help people in a way that's meant to help people, and you still get that satisfaction. Even if you don't get the ego and the cheers and the laughs and the camaraderie with the other, I'm still helping people. And that particular dopamine is just there for the taking for anyone. Like, I promise you, wherever you live, there's some place nearby you could be volunteering and you'll feel good doing it, you know?
Yeah. It's one of the biggest secrets of life. I haven't yet. I delude myself and I'm like, well, my comedy helps people and the podcast help people. I think that's true. I don't know if my brain knows it as well as it would know it as driving someone on a gurney.
Right.
It would.
And I learned that lesson.
You helped.
I kind of signed up, pandemic, boredom, moved to a new town. My wife was like, "Why don't you do this? Shake things up." And it's actually been very gratifying. I've had only a couple that were scary. I'm not allowed to say too much because of HIPAA laws about specifics, but like, I've never seen someone die. I have had someone in my ambulance who I later learned died, and I saw them in that process, and that was extremely sobering. I can say that there have been a number of weird and funny ones that make it completely worth it.
What's
that are
a
just
weird
nuts.
one?
Like,
Oh, you can't?
I can't say anything that would identify someone. I can tell you that you get the app goes off, beep, 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 goes, and you also have a separate pager so that if one isn't working, and that starts going, choo, 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 EMS, da, 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 and it starts this voiceover. So you can't sleep through this, you know? And when the app goes off on my phone, first it gives you a 1-sentence description, then the 911 dispatcher is updating it as they learn information. So the very first thing is it goes off and you see 1 sentence. Like I said, it'll say fall. It'll say diabetic issue, asthma attack. These things where you go, okay, these things happen.
This is really framing when I was a kid. We called 911 in a sketch we were shooting, and it was an ad for 911. I went, 911, it's always free. And we hung up, and they heard, I can't breathe. So thinking about the people with beepers and
it goes off.
And
someone can't breathe.
And they're really hauling ass.
And they probably heard that it was like a younger person's voice.
Yeah.
Which is
terrifying.
A younger person with a breathing issue, something's really wrong.
And when they got there, I'm doing bits and stuff.
You're like, sketch company.
Oh, sorry about that.
So they're usually these simple things.
Sobering.
It goes off at about 11 at night, and it says, I'll tell you this one first. The first night I drove on my own, and to give you a sense of how volunteerism works in America, I was shadowing the guy on Tuesday nights, and I had gone and gotten my CPR certification. One of the drivers who's been around a long time took me out during the day, and I drove the ambulance 4 or 5 times. And then there were 3 weeks in a row on Tuesdays where I shadowed this other driver, and I shadowed him on, I think, 2 or 3 calls. And then one night, or one Tuesday during the day, the captain of the first aid squad texts me and he goes, hey, so just so you know, you're bumped up. You're no longer a trainee. You're the Tuesday night driver now. And I wrote back and I said, I've only shadowed him a few weeks. I don't know if I'm ready yet. And his response was, that guy moved. You're the Tuesday night guy now. And that tells you a lot about volunteerism. You know, it really does. Yeah. Like, younger generations are not stepping up.
That guy moved.
He doesn't live in town anymore. You're the Tuesday night guy. So my first night, we had one call that was a guy with a heart issue, but he was fine and he was talking and he just needed a ride. And it was a pre-existing thing. And I said, okay, I got my first one under the way. That was about like 8 or 9 o'clock. I'm leaving the house. Hallie's going, baby, be careful. I love you. Good job. Like, it was all this adrenaline. Same night, 2:30 in the morning. Beep, 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 blah, blah, blah. It wakes us up. Hallie's like, holy shit. I run out of the house, throw my pants on, and I look at the app and it just says man in ditch. And I'm like, here we go. And I live in a town that's pretty, like, I spent all my TV show money on it. I wouldn't say that I don't have tons of money coming in anymore, but I had a few years there where now I can buy a house, and I'm living in a town that's, you know, it's a wealthier zip code, really quiet at night. It doesn't really have a downtown with businesses. There's no reason for somebody walking around at 2:30 at night. We get out there and this guy is in a ditch and he's there and there's a cop there and the guy's bleeding. He's got blood coming from his head and his ankle's busted. And my crew chief gets out and she's like, okay, so, you know, what happened? He's like, I fell in the ditch. She's like, what were you doing out here? It's the middle of nowhere. Like, Pete, I'm telling you, I live in a suburban neighborhood, but when you get to the end of my block, it's woods and farms. Like, it's the end of the suburbs and the beginning of farm country in New Jersey. Like, legitimately, my neighborhood is like the last suburb before this other stretch. She's like, what are you doing walking around here in the first place at this time of night? And he's like, well, I went out drinking with friends in Morristown and I didn't want to drive because I have a DUI. So I took a train and I'm too drunk and I missed the last train. So I figured I'd just walk home. And we ask where he's walking to. He tells us where he lives. And it's like a solid hour drive. And we're like, you're going to walk it in the middle of the night in a town with no streetlights? She's like, okay. Why didn't you call one of your friends to come pick you up? He's like, I guess I just didn't have friends that I think would do that. And let me also be clear. He's speaking like I'm speaking now. He's not drunk. I'm looking at him and I'm like, I've been drunk in my life. It's been many years, but I have been drunk and I've been around drunk people. This person's not drunk. We could immediately sense. She's like, something's up. She's like, why didn't you call somebody? I guess none of my friends would do that. She goes, why didn't you get like an Uber or a Lyft? He's like, I don't have those apps on my phone. She's like, why didn't you download them? He goes, well, I wasn't getting reception. She goes, but you called us. And then everybody just stopped and was staring at each other. And it was just like, what is happening here? And the guy didn't want to get back in the ambulance, and the cop was like, "You get in the fucking like, I'm not. If you wander around limping and bleeding through this town at 3 a.m, I'm gonna get 8 more calls about you, buddy. Like, you can barely walk. Get in the ambulance." We take him to the hospital. He's like, "I don't want to go in." We're like, "Get in. Like, we're not spending all night doing this." And the crew that was there that night, we have debated ever since what was really going on.
Yeah.
Like, what he was so clearly lying. Some people were like, I think he might have been on other drugs besides booze and didn't want to admit it. Like maybe he was on shrooms or something or acid.
Yeah.
I was like, I bet he was hooking up with somebody and he like went for a kink and they were like, "You got to get the fuck out of my house." Like, I bet he came back to my town with somebody and then he was like, "You want me to pee on you?" And they were like, "You got to go." And then he had to walk. I think it was something like that, you know? He was like, "I don't even have time to call an Uber because I'm ashamed and I got to go."
Right. I go right to crime, though. I'm
You
like,
think so?
He did a crime.
That there was something so clearly going on.
Yeah.
I had another one where there was it came up. It was like 11 o'clock, flipped car. I was like, "Fuck, this is for real. This is really for real."
This is the vehicle version of Man and Ditch.
There you go. And I get there,
Man
dude.
and
I pull up.
Ditch.
There's like 10 fire trucks from all different nearby towns, cop cars. Turns out this dude had stolen a car and tried to rob a restaurant the next town over and then fled and flipped his car.
Wow.
Car was accordioned. He was fine, which my crew chief said, that only happens when someone's really drunk or fucked up on drugs because their body stays relaxed.
Tense bodies get injured.
Tense bodies get injured and they don't tense up. This kid was fine. I looked at the car. I said, "I'm about to see a dead body." And instead the kid was fine.
Yeah.
Now, he claimed that there were other people in the car that ran away, which I think turned out to not be true, but they had canine units. They had drones in the sky. And I pull up in the ambulance. Me, Pete. Me. Like the guy you've known forever. Me.
On a TV show would all assume this guy lives at a hospital.
Dude.
Yeah.
But like the improv guy. Like the guy who tells the long emo stories, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, "You got to back it in. So I'm like backing up between like dogs and drones and fire trucks. I'm like, what the fuck is going on tonight? The captain of the crew was with us that night. He's like, "You need me to get out?" I'm like, "No, I got it." He's like, "All right, young buck. Like, this is pretty good shit for a rookie." I'm like, what the fuck is happening here?
He said that?
Dude, they put him in the stretcher in our ambulance. They handcuff him. There's a cop on board with him and he's rambling because he's high on who knows what. And the cops are like, "You can't go yet. We got to write down what he's saying." And it was really intense. Eventually, we're on our way to the hospital. And he's been rambling this whole time. And he just goes silent. And you feel everybody perks up to listen. And he just, out of nowhere, just goes, "Whoa, I could have fucking died back there." And I've never laughed harder than that. I'm like, what a punchline. For me to come upon this scene with like a dozen fire trucks and dogs and drones and angry cops and handcuffs. And he's rambling because it seemed like on amphetamines or something. And then silence. "Whoa, I could have fucking died back there." I was like, who's got better timing than that?
You are the first and only guest that answered a new question since you've been on the show last is, "When's the time you laughed hardest?" And you just answered it
That was probably it.
without me asking. Speaking of which, when is your flight? I don't want you to miss it.
Oh, I should probably go to the airport. Oh, my flight's at 2.
You're fine. You're fine.
I'm going to trust the person who's telling me I'm not fine.
You're absolutely fine.
How long does it take to get to the airport?
45 minutes.
But it's Los Angeles.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? I've been here for 3 days and I've spent the entirety of it sitting in traffic.
Okay, watch this.
Okay.
This is good. This is good podcasting. Yeah, nobody's going to the... Well, that's true. Okay, it says...
I'm going to turn my phone off airplane mode, and if it starts highly beeping, that means a 911 call has happened in my town in New Jersey since we've been doing this. And Pete, I follow the app.
It says 49 minutes. I travel for a living, folks.
But that'll get me there at 1. And my flight's
an hour
at 2.
before your flight.
Let me double check when the flight
Is this an international flight?
No, it's to Chicago.
Okay, and
Flight's
are you
at
taking an
2:20.
Uber?
No, I'm driving. I have to drop my rental car.
Oh, I was going to call you an Uber. I want the credit for being nice.
But Pete, this is the app. And I can't show you specifics, but like this. These are the people who have listed themselves as off duty, which means they're out of town. I could do that technically now. If I'm in town, I leave it on. I always leave it on. Because this is, it's like I don't want to say it's entertainment. It's not.
I understand. Police scanner.
It's the police scanner thing in my,
Yeah.
and I also know,
You're this close to being Spider-Man.
like it went off last night with a really grim sounding call, and I'm like, oh, I know the people on the crew tonight, and I'm watching it to be like, are they getting there in time? Like, and you can see like it comes in with the,
wow.
I can't show you too much of this, but like all these updates
I'm reading
are
all
written
of
in
it.
this
I got all of
code.
it.
No,
There's
there's
a picture of the guy's dick. That's not
it's weird. He
appropriate.
sent a dick pic
I
right
don't
before this
understand why they would do
emergency.
that.
I don't know why the 911 operator included that. But I sit there and I'm updated and I'm like, okay, like, all right, good. They're at the station house. Like these time codes that you don't know what they mean. Like, that's when they got dispatched. That's when they got to the station house. That's when they actually left. That's when they got to the
Good
scene.
numbers, guys.
And I track it and I'm like, okay. Oh, great. They got there. Good. It's crazy, man.
It feels so perfect. And I can't wait to see the Gravitas picture, Murph flip, and Jersey.
I can't believe how
ambulance.
hard we laughed about that Murph flip.
It was so good.
I knew you'd like that,
I didn't,
but I
like
haven't
it.
thought about it.
I loved it.
But it's also funny too, because it's a side of improv where I'm like, they did that show. I don't know if I probably would have had it in me, but most of us, if there's an audience there, you don't want to scare them. You want to please them.
Yeah.
And they were scared that night.
I get it.
And I love it.
I get it. You're an incredible guy. This was such a great episode.
It's always good to talk to you.
I know. And I knew it would be wonderful, but I didn't expect it to be this wonderful. And you're a real gift.
Thank you. And we've always connected. And there have been, as mentioned on the show before, a few times where I feel like we had a friendship years ago. I would say that friendship still maintains, but entertainment drags people apart.
Yeah.
And in spite of that, there have been a few times where we've crossed paths either in person or via reaching
phone,
out where I'm like, oh, Pete's always been down to step up as a friend, and it means a lot to me.
Oh, I feel the same way about you. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I think you'll understand. I have a file in my phone called Friends. And it's just, I need to write them down because sometimes this stupid life you forget.
It's very easy to
forget. I see there it is, Chris Gethard. I go, oh yeah. I did it on the way in today. I was feeling kind of existentially scared, and there are people that I call.
Yeah.
And it's really nice that you're one of them. I love you.
Yeah.
Really
you've stepped up a few times. And I'll say this. We were talking before about like, do you feel disappointment, mentoring? And there's times where I go, not everybody does step up. Even people you've been through very intense, close stretches with.
Oh,
not
dark. That's what was going to get dark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get dark to end it, but just I say it as a positive in appreciation of you of there have been times where we've been in the same city for, Montreal.
Yeah.
Where I remember us having a conversation that meant so much to me.
Right.
Like
me too.
Times where you've picked up the phone or times where I've picked your advice. And a couple times where I remember there was one time, and I won't say what, but like, I think you needed someone with some punk rock ethics, and you were like, here's that thing. I'm wondering, what's your instinct on it? And I go, I know why Pete's asking me about this.
Yeah.
And I know,
no,
get out of your own way on this, and it means a lot to me that we can do that to each other, even though it's once every couple of years.
I agree.
It's an
a
important
special thing.
Yeah.
It's almost, it might not be literally true, but it's like past life, people that keep coming in, like we found each other again.
Yeah.
And I have friends in Montreal, you see them on a marquee and you text them and you don't hear back. I'm not getting dark.
No.
And I understand if I was them, I'd be them.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
It can still be sad, and we can understand and have compassion.
Because I sometimes on my dark days feel like, oh, I fooled myself into thinking that we were part of a movement together.
Yeah.
And I guess for you, it wasn't that. And it took me a long time to realize that's fine too.
Yeah.
You're allowed to not be motivated by that.
Right.
My motivation was that, especially with the old TV show, But some people, when it got canceled, moved on.
Yeah.
And we're not tight anymore.
Right.
And for a long time, I felt like, what did I do wrong? And I realized, no, we came together for the thing.
It's Man on Wire. I just rewatched Man on Wire. Did you watch that?
I haven't seen it in years. Is that Philippe Petit?
Yeah.
There's a great children's book about him.
Okay.
My son is obsessed with Philippe Petit because of this children's book, but I haven't rewatched the documentary.
There's just a moment where one of the guys that secured the wire on the World Trade Center before he walked across it is just talking about how important it was. And clearly they fell out of touch as soon as it was ended, and he just starts crying. And it's such restraint in the documentary. They don't ask him, why are you crying? Like, what are you feeling right now? They just let him cry, and you go, I know why he's crying.
This changed his life.
And he doesn't see this person anymore.
And
that part is over.
I've had that. I've had that feeling in a big way of like, oh, I did some stuff that I know changed my life.
Yeah. Well, you are a petite Philippe, and your son is going to be thrilled as he starts to piece this together.
Or people on the schoolyard will make fun of him when they're like, your dad went on TV and put a bidet in his asshole. I've had that thought too. But ultimately, I think he's going to realize.
I think they're going to be
and my mom
watching an AI movie made about them, starring them, for them, and they'll be like,
virtual reality,
they're not going to care about
Matrix
anything we did.
And I've lived a pretty cool life, and my wife has lived one that makes me look fucking lame. So he's going to at some point realize that his parents walked the walk.
And walked the wire.
There you go.
There it is. Would you say keep it crispy? I'm only rushing because I got to get you out.
Keep it, yeah, absolutely keep it crispy. Why would you not keep it crispy?
Thank you, my friend.
You're the best, Pete.
You're the best. That was so incredible.
You made it weird. You made it weird. You made it weird. Oh, yeah.